I am broken!
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gon' start today.
CBS Sports Radio.
Well, as I was saying, I was listening to the radio. I heard something.
And what did you hear?
A hissing sound like this.
Hey, T.A. Hey, D.A. Let me aboard that mothership.
Permission to board that mothership, sir.
Well, you know I had to slide through the intergalactic swag party. D.A. man, beam me up. What's going on, my brother from another mother? Beam me up. You guys are the best.
You guys make it fun to board that mothership.
Mothership has connected.
And you the man, D.A.
Happy Thursday to you, North America. The mothership has connected. Welcome aboard. It's the 4-hour Gamma Ray Gala. TA with you from the CBS Sports Radio studios in New York City, broadcasting to affiliates nationwide and north of the border. Anchorage to Atlanta, San Francisco to San Angelo, Kalamazoo, and Waterloo. We are on the air.
They listening, D.A. Everything we saying, D.A. Everything.
And we come to you live from the Rocket Mortgage Studios. Need to know what it takes for a home to fit your budget and your family. Rocket Kent. How we doing, everybody? Thanks so much for joining us. You have all come along a wild ride in 2022. You have boarded the impossible train to Nowheresville aboard the DA show all year long. And we've reached our final destination. You have lived through the chaos, the ridiculousness, the insanity, the laughs, the crying, the stress, the anxiety, and the fights. And today we crown for you the number one moment of the year. Number one on the 12 days of Christmas, delivered today.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yep. It's why we lift all those weights in the off season. It's why we do all of those workouts. It's why we study all that film to get to number one. Number one on the 12 days of Christmas, coming your way in approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes from now. And for those of you who will join us late in the program, we'll replay that for you in hour number 4. Also this morning on the program, a look back 50 years at the greatest play, the most impactful play in NFL history, the Immaculate Reception. Tomorrow marks 50 years to the day. Of course, yesterday we had the very difficult passing of Franco Harris. We've got 2 vantage points on the Immaculate Reception. We've got the winners and the losers this morning. Coming your way in hour number 3, we've got the winners. Roy Girello was the place kicker that day for the Steelers. He won 3 Super Bowls with Pittsburgh. He will join us hour 3. In hour 4, one of the great characters of those Oakland Raiders teams, Phil Villapiano, the losing side of things, is going to join us in hour number 4. So, boy, we have a ton to get to this morning on top of the normal DA show stuff, like a Thursday Night Football preview, Jags and Jets. We've got sound check, the brouhaha, and a Thirsty Thursday. We're toasting to the good stuff. Yesterday, we had the 2 pieces of big news that broke overnight. We had Carlos Correa flip-flopping from the Giants to the Mets. We had the passing of Franco. So I wanted to get to the sale of the Phoenix Suns by Robert Sarver, but we were just slammed, impromptu, dropped by Super Bowl champ Andrew Whitworth, a member of the Amazon Prime broadcast team tonight at MetLife. So I wanted to get back into the story. The Phoenix Suns are selling $4 billion. And it's an interesting timing because we have now seen this week the financial might of a formerly meek team show itself through new aggressive ownership. The New York Mets, under the Wilpon family, once upon a time spent good money, but not crazy money, and then shriveled up into spending almost no money. A thrift store organization in the nation's largest market. And then Steve Cohen took over and said, enough of this. I'm buying this to win. This is a property to win and to deliver to the fans something they've been waiting for 35 plus years. And that is my directive. In Phoenix, there might be a new owner thinking the same exact thing. And so what does the Suns sale mean for Phoenix and the NBA? It is where we begin. Your cold open.
Matt Ishbia was so determined to own an NBA team, he essentially short-circuited the process with a $4 billion valuation of Robert Sarver's shares of the Suns. And Ishbia is an individual who has been banging on the door with a number of NBA and NFL franchises in recent years to try to get into ownership, somebody who's really prepared themselves to be an owner, asking a lot of questions, really understanding how good franchises run, somebody with a history in basketball, played at Michigan State on the Final Four team for Tom Izzo. But Ishbia, I think, saw in Phoenix the chance, I think, to build a sustainable contender, a free agent destination in a warm weather location. I think Ishbia really just overwhelmed financially Robert Sarver, and I think at $4 billion, a record valuation for an NBA team, that certainly sped up this process and got them to a deal.
Mr. Sarver has done nothing to improve this team in the 14 years he's owned it. He's never funded or bought, paid for 2 or 3 key players, which make any sports team, professional sports team, successful or on the road to success. He's so tight, he squeaks when he walks. And you have been negotiating with this kind of person? Shame on each and all of you. And upon you, Ed, I thought your principles were higher and better than this. We are not in the business of paying taxes to support private enterprise, and especially not an entertainment enterprise. They can support themselves or fail on their own lack of diligence.
I don't believe it!
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending.
It's DA's top story.
Here he goes!
It's your cold open.
What you have there was Adrian Wojnarowski on ESPN, and then that was the voice of Phoenix resident Greta Rogers, who was at a Phoenix City Council meeting blasting the city for negotiating with Robert Sarver for a new arena, land rights, etc., tax breaks, all that stuff. And it's kind of amazing because when you look at Robert Sarver, really Sarver has been the Western Conference's version of James Dolan. He's been terrible. He's been absolutely wretched. He has had a poison culture within that organization. He's been a guy that has played by his own rules privately, and he did almost nothing to enhance the brand of the team for nearly a decade until they brought in Chris Paul and finally had a recent renaissance. Robert Sarver owned the Phoenix Suns since 2004. In 2011, missed the playoffs. 2012, missed the playoffs. 2013, missed the playoffs. 2014, missed the playoffs. 15, missed the playoffs. 16, missed the playoffs. 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. They missed the playoffs for a decade. Missed the playoffs. In the NBA, that's hard to do. Hard to do. They were one of the worst teams in all of basketball. And here is Robert Sarver, pushed out because of multiple scandals awful behavior in the organization, all under him. Finally, the NBA is pushing him out, forcing him to sell, and he's going to make $4 billion. He bought this franchise 20 years ago for $400 million. So a bad guy and a bad owner who's forced to sell, having his team ripped away from him, is going to make a $3.6 billion profit in 2 decades of owning the team. Not bad. Not bad. And the issue here is that no matter how bad a guy you are, no matter how bad an owner you are, you cash that ticket. Dan Snyder's going to do the same thing. Whenever he is forced to sell or does sell, he's going to turn a profit of billions of dollars. Asking price is likely to be upwards of $6 billion for Washington. And what has he done in 20 years? Nothing. Been a disgrace. If you've got the money, there is no greater investment than getting into professional sports. You will make money hand over fist, and you don't even have to be good at your job. In fact, you can be terrible at it. You can be a terrible person and a terrible owner, and you'll still make money hand over fist. That's the disheartening part about all of this. The encouraging part is, look at the recent owners that seemingly paid way more money than they had to own a team, and how they were able to transfer from an old organization, an old owner that really didn't care much about winning, to an organization that seemingly will do whatever it takes because they got the cash. It happened with the Clippers. Donald Sterling, for 25 years, was a complete disgrace in the NBA. Privately, personally, and owning a team. Steve Ballmer took over, spending $2 billion, and we said, $2 billion for the Clippers? But look, he turned them into contenders. He's going to build his own stadium. He made them relevant. Steve Cohen with the New York Mets, a franchise that was always, what? Penny pinching? You guys? Then he said, screw that, we're spending all the money. And Steve Cohen has built the Mets into a financial machine. I would imagine the same thing happens with the Suns under Ishbia, who has made billions of dollars through mortgage lending. My guess is that he takes over the Suns and immediately goes, we've got a warm weather destination, a desirable city. This is great for free agents. I'm going to spend the money and we're going to win. I bet you any money the Suns get taken over by a new owner and suddenly become a free agent destination and threat. So the good news is the new money coming into professional sports is so big, they don't want to sit around and just cash a few checks. They've got the money. It used to be that these organizations were bought by owners who used the team to make all of their money. So Donald Sterling and Robert Sarver and the Wilpons and all of these guys would look at the tax breaks and would look at the end of the year financials and go, oh, I'm making money here. Now these new guys, David Tepper, Steve Cohen, Ishbia, they don't. You think Steve Ballmer needs the revenue from the Clippers? Steve Ballmer's Microsoft money. He doesn't need anything from the NBA. Steve Cohen made $14 billion as a hedge fund manager. Whatever Major League Baseball's payouts are at the end of the year, he's like, whatever, okay. That's a few more Christmas gifts. That's nothing. These guys have so much money, it's about the ego to win and to prove they can win, because that's the only thing they don't have. They've got all the cash. So that's the good news on the sale of the Phoenix Suns. But I also love that clip we played from Phoenix resident Greta Rogers. Robert Sarver's so tight when he walks, he squeaks. That's my kind of lady.
Oh, valid points.
All right. A lot to get to this morning on the show. When we come back, we've got your sound check. your best audio of the day. So keep it locked right there. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
It's number 5 of the 12 Days of Christmas weekend at Berman's.
Day Chris Berman passes away, we better weekend at Bernie's him up at Monday Night Football at halftime. You better do it. Get him up there with some string, some sunglasses. He's got to whoop his way through that. We don't care how dead he is. I'm sorry. These guys need to live.
Whoop! Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Rumbling.
It's so bad.
Right now, if you're watching at watchda.com, I'm basically playing a puppet and somebody's moving my mouth. The frozen tundra.
I am so uncomfortable with what's going on right now.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
This is some day for your impersonations, DA. I mean, you've been locked in on 3 different people. Dead Chris Berman, Dickie V, and Morty the Lemur.
Never a discouraging word.
Frank Caliendo's toast after today's show.
Berman starts breaking out all the references from the 90s. Sorry, Barry Word's not playing in this game, Berman.
Shh, do it.
Barry Bananas Foster. That's James Conner. Boomer, that's James Conner.
It's a well-dressed Amani Tuma.
Yeah. Sorry, Darius Slayton, Boomer.
Oh.
What are you laughing at?
The weekend at Bernie's Berman was the best and worst bit we've ever done, ever. Like his family would crush us for this, and you're holding your mouth up, your arms. Oh. I'm gonna be picturing that the rest of the day.
What weekend at Berman's?
Weekend at Berman's, propped up with the sunglasses on the set. Fastest 3 minutes. Carry Chris in. Here we go.
Here goes the Bucks at the new sombrero.
It's terrible, but it's so funny.
No longer the Bay of Pigs.
Oh, man.
When you see Chris Berman these days, it's not a pretty thing. A couple of weeks ago or months ago, he dyed his hair blonde. It was so awkward and weird. And you're just holding desperately onto the vestiges of the 1990s NFL prime time.
Oh.
Weekend at Berman's, number 5 of the 12 days of Christmas. It really hits close to home for you, Mraz, because you still watch it every single week.
And this bit... This bit we did on the show, first of all, what playing back that audio doesn't do it justice. You moving your mouth as if he was a string doll and Weekend at Bernie's was so unbelievably hysterical that day. And just last week when the Giants had beaten the Seahawks and I was watching primetime and they take the 5-0 lead, he pulled back the 90s thing where he goes, is Griffey Jr. in Seattle hitting a 3-1 homer here? And the way he said it, my immediate mind pictured you moving the mouth and moving the arms like Weekend at Bernie's, like we had propped it up. And just listen it back. It's the best.
It's like he's one of these marionette figures, and his arms are just hanging and suspended in air. They're moving his mouth, and then they pull the ripcord. They pull the string behind him, and he just has 10 different 1990s references.
And I'll never forget, after the show, walking around all day going, not for nothing. Chris Berman, nothing could happen to him for the rest of the year after we would have looked so bad after doing Weekend at Berman's if something horrible had happened to Chris Berman.
You guys did this. You pretended like he was a dead puppet.
Imagine that email
in 5 seconds.
CBS presents this program in color.
An educated person can't think he's going to get a recruit by strippers coming in.
They can fire you, but they can't eat you.
And they run through our ass like through a tin horn, man, and we could not stop them.
The audio you need to hear. It's DA Soundcheck.
All right, welcome back. Happy Thursday to you, everybody. As always, the DA Show is available on your phone. You can stream us using the free Odyssey app. You can also listen to us using the free CBS Sports app. And you can watch us on your phone by going to watchda.com or on Twitch or on YouTube. Soundcheck begins with Steve Kerr. As the Warriors, have they hit rock bottom on their 6-game road swing? They were 1-5 last night, giving up 91 points in the first half to the Nets and getting destroyed again.
Right now we're, at that point that pretty much everybody goes through during an 82-game season, most teams anyway, where you sort of hit rock bottom and, injuries, whatever it is, schedule, fatigue, you take it on the chin. And so the whole key is how do you respond to that? And I have no doubt our guys will respond. But we got to clean up the execution.
The bit is, I'm not sure that this is rock bottom. The Warriors got beat by the Knicks 132-94 2 nights ago, and then last night got beat by 143-113. They are absolutely dreadful on the road. And granted, they're missing a bunch of starters. We know the injury to Steph Curry obviously is a big-time hindrance to doing anything that you want to do. At the same time, this is a team that looks pretty exhausted from last year's run. And I'm not sure you can just assume that this is rock bottom at 3 games under 500. I think there's a chance that the Warriors are irrelevant all season long, that they don't get this thing fixed, they don't get this thing turned around, and that last year, perhaps that finals run was the last gasp of greatness. There's no guarantee that these young guys equally match what the previous greatness was of the Warriors, then it's just a 1-for-1 swap. There's no guarantee of that. That the Kumingas and the Pools, et cetera, just end up becoming the next Draymond or the next Klay Thompson. I know we've seen certainly flashes from Jordan Poole, certainly last year, but you've got to do it more than one season to equal what used to be the Warriors' greatness. And, the Warriors this season just feel like they emptied the tank last year and that they're dependent on Steph being brilliant every night. And that's a hard thing for anybody to keep up, especially Steph at this age. And now we're seeing the injuries. The Warriors are the 11th seed in the West. Right now, they are even out of the play-in games. Next up, we've got the Giovanni Bernard audio again. We touched on this. Well, actually, we did a lot on this the other day, but I want to talk about this again because the reporter in question issued an apology yesterday on Twitter. If you didn't hear it, here is Buccaneers running back Giovanni Bernard getting accosted by the media because he was part of a fumbled snap, a fake punt that seemingly he wasn't ready for, that went off of his thigh and got into just another pothole for the Buccaneers as they frittered away a lead again against the Bengals on Sunday. Here was the Bernard audio.
We just wanted to ask for your perspective on what happened there.
You're involved in one of the biggest plays of the game.
Okay. Thank you, Jude.
I appreciate your time. We do.
We won't hold you.
We would have talked to you in the season, but also you were injured.
Just tell us what occurred on the punt.
Miscommunication, that's all it was on my part. I take complete fault for that.
Was it a fake?
I don't know. It was complete fault. My fault. That's it.
Is this something the team hasn't practiced
It's
this
all
week?
me. All me. That's something I did wrong, and that's all.
So you were
It was all
aware?
on me. Yep, number 25 out there, that was me. I was the one that did it.
So Bernard was not going to give the reporters much, and it was a tense situation from the jump, and I appreciated that Jenna Lane, the reporter who posted the video and really got smashed for it earlier in the week, did end up issuing an apology. She said last night, "I apologize personally to Giovanni Bernard first, personally telling him that I am sorry. Also, until I fully understood the missteps I took in the postgame, I didn't want to post something because I didn't want it to be a hollow apology lacking sincerity. Obviously, I afforded myself a period of grace that Giovanni didn't get to when asking him to talk postgame. He's a better person than me for many reasons." Then she went into her apology, and I respect that and appreciate that from Jenna Lane. And as I talked about the other day, these reporters are in the crosshairs on deadlines, the pressure of matching other people's breaking news, making sure they're there for a quote if their competitors are there for a quote. And after a game in which we see the Buccaneers are completely, they're just getting pulled apart. They're deteriorating from the inside. A fake punt that's not communicated to the guy that's supposed to run the fake is a pretty big meatball that you'd want to know something about and representative of a team that's sliding off the side of the road. But the approach in this by Jenna and her colleagues was obviously wrong because Bernard doesn't want to talk about it. Now, that's not a great look for Giovanni Bernard, but that's his decision. And you can say, hey, he didn't want to speak. He didn't speak to the media. And then the rest of the audience can make up their mind of that. I would have said, Giovanni Bernard really needs to talk there. But what you can't do is accost him in the locker room, demean him, make light of his injury, and aggressively put him on the defensive because then you're not doing your job properly. There has to be a give and take of decorum and understanding that while you're under great pressure, so is he. And that if he doesn't want to speak and he chooses not to talk, then that's his decision, and he doesn't need to be lectured about it while sitting there in the middle of the locker room. So I'm glad that she apologized because it shows that there is a humanity still available even after making a massive mistake. And finally, here's Dansby Swanson. He has played the first part of his career in Atlanta with the Braves and now is signed to be a member of the Chicago Cubs. And upon his introductory press conference, this clip went viral because I think a lot of people saw a different side of Dansby Swanson.
I just have one quick story, and I'm really going to hope I make it through without crying, so I can't look at my parents while I say this story. I know. So I've pretty much mentioned to everyone, being a Cub means more to me than people would realize. It's no secret that I left my hometown team to be here, and I've kept telling everyone that it's more personal to me. So Mallory and I got married December 10th. The next morning, we found out that my grandfather was not doing so well, that he was in hospice, and so we pretty much left our wedding venue the next morning, drove home, and basically had to rush over to the senior living facility where he was at, and we were, gosh dang it. So he ended up passing away on the day after we got married, and the one thing that just always stood out was he lived across the yard from my parents and I and my brother and sister, and so every day when I would come home from school, I would run up to his house. I'd run in and pretty much demand that he come outside and hit me ground balls, which he would always do. But every time I walked in, he would have a Cubs game on, back when it was on WGN. And I can't look at my parents. He would have a Cubs game on, and I was always like, Pops, we're in Atlanta, dude. We're Braves fans. And it was just something, he loved baseball so much, and all he ever wanted me to be was doing what I'm doing now. So having won a championship in Atlanta for one of his favorite teams, we just felt that the Cubs, which were his second favorite team, that bringing a championship to this city was just what we have felt called to do. So to be able to play for two of my grandfather's two favorite teams means literally like the world to me. So thank you, and I'm glad I got through that without crying. So thank you.
Really cool. Really cool. Hard not to root for Dansby Swanson upon such a heartfelt story like that. And that is your sound check. You know, I was really close to my grandma growing up, and she was a big Mets fan. It's one of the big reasons that I'm a Mets fan as well. She actually was a huge Brooklyn Dodgers fan back in the day, but of course the Dodgers left, and she always hated the Yankees. And so she adopted the Mets, and she would always have Mets games on WOR when we would go over to her house. And it was really a really cool bond that I had with my grandma. And when I was really young, and I was maybe 21 years old, 20 years old, sometime in college, I was the PA address announcer for a minor league independent baseball team. And my grandma got to come to a game, and she heard me introduce the players. Now, there was nobody on the field that would ever do anything in baseball, and there was nobody in the stands in a rickety old ballpark. I mean, maybe there was 25 other people in the stands, but her and my dad came to a game, and she was just floored. Is that Damon's voice? Wow. And I always wish that she could hear me on the radio. She passed away when I was a senior in college, and this is well before streaming, and so there was no way for her to ever really have heard me on the radio. But Dansby's story kind of made me think about that. You know, I'm sure she's listening from above, and she's watched my career, but for Dansby Swanson, that connection to go play for the Chicago Cubs because of his grandfather watching Cubs games all those years when he was growing up and running over to his house is really a cool memory. So that was a cool piece of audio to play here on the show this morning. Now, Andrew Bogish, kind sir, is in for headlines. And Bogues, what Dansby's talking about is he grew up in Georgia, and his grandfather was watching Cubs games because they were on WGN.
The Superstation.
Well, TBS was right. The Superstation, but technically WGN was also considered a superstation because all of America got it.
Yeah.
It was the Chicago-based station that carried the Cubs, as TBS was an Atlanta-based station pretty much that carried the Braves. But when did that go away? When did America stop getting TBS and WGN?
That's a good question, because I remember watching Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game, sitting in my living room watching it on WGN.
You don't think that was picked up by ESPN that day?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not. So that was...
But I certainly remember watching Cubs and Braves games in the 90s, regular season games that were not on ESPN. And I wonder when that went away. I mean, those were part of our basic cable packages for a long time.
Yeah.
And I guess TBS is still around, obviously, but they don't carry Braves games. Well, do they? I don't think so.
No.
Now they're on Sports South or whatever.
Yeah.
The iteration.
Yeah, I think they got Bally.
Bally Sports South or something like that.
So that game was 98, the Kerry Wood game.
Yeah.
So I don't think it lasted much longer than that, because at some point we got into different TV contracts and MLB extra innings and stuff like that.
I remember watching Cubs games on WGN. Part of the reason I became a Cubs fan, and they were definitely on WGN until I was at least like 12 or 13, so at least till 2007.
Okay. And that's a lot of the reason that people love Harry Carey so much, was that Harry Carey was a national voice because he was on WGN doing Cubs games to the entire country, not because he was doing CBS games or NBC games or something.
But there's also two different things here. The Cubs stayed on WGN. Yeah. It's just when WGN stopped being part of everybody's TV. Yeah. That date I don't know.
Yeah, isn't that
it was 2014, by the way.
Technically 2014.
Yeah, because I'm from Chicago, and I grew up on the Cubs as well. And
Carlos with a K is in for Pete the Body today.
So I remember moving to New York in 2001, and it was still about good 10 years and change that I was watching Cubs games here. And then a couple of years ago, it just stopped, and I was wondering what the hell happened to my TV.
I did not realize that it was that deep into the 2000s.
Yeah, me neither.
I would have thought that we did not have WGN available across the country for 20 years or so. But yeah, once upon a time, you could just watch every Braves game and every Cubs game, just part of your cable package, no matter where you were in America.
Well, and the Cubs were great because all those 2:20 Eastern starts, you came home from school and there was just randomly a Cubs game on.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And it was, I think, a big reason why the Braves of the 90s was such a national team, was that all of America watched 50 to 60 Braves games over the course of a a season, maybe even more. I'm not sure how many TBS used to cover, but
What reruns did TBS show in the 90s? If it's Law and Order and Charmed now, what were they rerunning around the clock back in those days?
a lot of Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
A lot of Saved by the Bell matinees. And that's a great question. We'd have to...
Like, was Matlock on TBS
I'm
back
sure.
then?
Matlock's
Or like Murder,
always
She Wrote?
Definitely slam dunk for the old people, middle of the day. Yeah, those are two good guesses. So, yeah, today, Mraz is out, and so Pat Boyle is in, a.k.a. Tom Boyle. Pete the Body is out, so Carlos with a K is in on the Wheels of Steel. The Diaper D-Aliens have taken over, and it's me and Bogues and Cap here. And then you and Cap. Are you going to be here tomorrow?
I'll be here tomorrow
You're
with
hosting.
Sean, yes.
You're hosting with
Correct.
Mraz. I'm off tomorrow.
He's a hard hat guy.
Who's that?
Thank you.
Bogues, he's a hard hat guy. Not total hard hat guy, but a hard hat guy.
A semi-hard hat?
Yeah, he's semi-hard.
Thanks. True. Didn't want to point it out, but okay.
So, Bogues says headlines.
And they're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. It is the biggest men's college hoops upset based on point spread in at least 30 seasons.
Wow.
Eastern Illinois, a 31.5-point underdog at Iowa, beat the Hawkeyes last night 92-83. Fran McCaffrey's team a little banged up, but that should not have mattered.
Injuries obviously affect your ability to do some things, but we had enough healthy people. I would have thought we would have played better today.
30-point underdogs had outright lost 558 consecutive games.
Imagine if you bet Iowa minus 31.5 last night.
Oh,
at a certain point, you're just hoping that they lose outright. Yeah. Right? If I always do that. If my team's like no chance of covering the spread, I'm like, I hope they lose. Yeah. I hope they lose outright.
Eastern Illinois is the Romo Payton school.
Yep.
And now they got a basketball win at Iowa.
One win.
What do you mean Payton?
Sean Payton went there too, didn't he?
Oh, did he? I don't know.
I thought that was their connection.
But yeah, Tony Romo was Eastern Illinois.
Inside the top 25 last night, top-ranked Purdue stayed perfect, 74-53 over New Orleans. Third-ranked Houston thumped McNeese, 83-44. And 10th-ranked Arkansas handled UNC Asheville, 85-51. That Nets rout of the Warriors extended Brooklyn's win streak to 7. It's a 6-game run for the Sixers after a 113-93 home win over the Pistons. But Doc Rivers, not that impressed.
Listen, we got the lead and kind of held it. We played okay after that, but it's one of those games you get to win, you move on, and you get ready for the next game.
The Knicks' 8-game win streak ended with a 113-106 home loss to the Raptors. Pascal Siakam, a career-high 52 at the Garden. The Clippers handled the Hornets 126-105. The Thunder swept the 2-game visit from the Blazers 101-98, while the Mavs got a split in Minnesota 104-99. Luka had 25 points, 9 boards, and 10 assists. The Pacers 117-112 winners in Boston, and the Cavaliers down the Bucks 114-106, despite a season-high 45 from
Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm never going to be able to say this guy's name right.
I mean, it's 2022. BT and Tiki, you've got to get a handle on this by now.
No, that's from years ago.
Luckily, they don't have to say it anymore.
That's true. Off the floor, the Knicks lost their 2025 second-round pick yesterday for talking to free agent guard Jalen Brunson before they were allowed to over the summer. Titans QB Ryan Tannehill might be done for the season with a right ankle injury. Nick Foles is now the Colts starting QB, and not surprisingly, the Eagles lead the way with 8 Pro Bowlers, including Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelsey, and Darius Slay. College football, bad news for some of us in the brouhaha. Western Kentucky surprising South Alabama 44-23. The lead was 31-3. At halftime, USC wideout Jordan Addison is skipping the Alamo Bowl to rest an ankle injury. Addison expected to declare for the draft, so this should be the end of his college career. And from the NHL, the Devils snapped a 6-game skid, 4-2 in Florida. The Red Wings did the same thing with a 7-4 win over the Lightning. DA, back to you.
Thank you, Bogues. Coming up, the number 1 of the 12 DAs of Christmas. That's coming up next hour here on the show. But when we come back, let's talk about signing day yesterday, National Signing Day in college football. Winners, losers, who stood out? DA, CBS Sports Radio. Parked on campus. It's 8:30 in the morning. Walking over to Calhoun's on the river. Sky is bright. Sun is shining. An amazing day here in Knoxville. The river is right here. Gonna go try to hang out with the volunteer Navy. Everybody just says I can walk on a boat, but that's not how it works in New York. You don't just walk on a boat. What do you think you're doing? This ain't your boat. What do you think you're doing? Get the hell out of here. I'm hoping I get some Southern hospitality, but to be quite frank, I'm a little skeptical on this. I need a Bloody Mary in a big way. This is such an amazing backdrop to tailgate. There's all these boats getting ready for people to be partying on. You got a train here, the Three Rivers Rambler. It's just like a big party train. SEC, baby. This is really cool. I mean, check it out. This is how you party for a football game. On the river. You know, my first trip to Knoxville had to start drinking on the back of a train. I got my buddy Jay Luke, who has listened to the show for a couple of years now. He's a local musician, so this guy knows everybody over here. I want to thank you for getting me on a train.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be tailgating on a train today.
Tailgating on a train, like quite literally at the tail end of a train.
And you're going to be playing on this train.
Yes. We'll warm it up.
How great is this?
Hey guys, this is DA from DA on CBS. If y'all want to,
thank you.
This guy has helped me get through many nights driving home from Crossville, Tennessee. Decided to come and check us out down here in Knoxville, see what a game's like. He came to the Kentucky game, which
I wanted to see a win.
Make him feel, extra welcome here.
I appreciate that. All right, I'm over at outside of Calhoun's right now, getting set for a little pregame meal.
What's up, DA?
Anthony, how you doing, Bob?
Good. We're on the mothership this morning, getting some ribs, some burgers for our man DA here on Rocky Top.
This is pretty awesome. Now, I got these goggles on that I got from the train. Probably unnecessary, but maybe with Calhoun's ribs, I might need them.
You might.
I don't know.
They are finger-licking good.
So we got the ribs going on here. These look awesome. And then you got me a burger as well. A lot of meat going on right now. It's a lot of early meat.
A lot of early meat.
I love it, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. This is awesome. Oh. Best breakfast ever! Actually, I have chaperones getting me a bib right now. Oh, this is awesome. These are good. These are so good.
Yep.
They're tender. Mm-hmm. They knew I had to be babysat today. Do I get a high chair too?
"15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
ball and be on him so he would get better. He never got better. The only one that did better was Tom Boyle.
DA on CBS Sports Radio.
The great Tom Boyle producing today in for Mraz, and then we'll be producing when we're back in the studios next week as well. I'm here all next week, okay? We're not taking time off during the most crucial sports time of the year. Rest of these guys. So me and Tom Boyle are here all of next week. We'll have some Greg Caserta's in here, some Peter Schwartz is in here, but I'll be here throughout next week because we've got a huge Week 16 of the NFL season coming up this week, and we got to break down going into an enormous January 1st New Year's weekend as well. So we are all over it all over the course of next week. By the way, Pete the Body already weighing in his thoughts on today's number one on the 12 DAs of Christmas. I tweeted out that it's coming up at 7:20 Eastern time. Pete tweeted, the real number one aired yesterday. Today is truly a number two.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday, National Signing Day around college football. You might be going, wait, isn't that usually around the Super Bowl? It used to be. Now we've got early signing day, which has created even more chaos on the recruiting trail. Alabama back to being number one as the best recruiting class in the country. And so more talent coming into Tuscaloosa. I don't necessarily, though, believe that this just means Alabama is back to being Alabama. Yes, talent is crucial for success in college football. But what we saw this season from the Tide was a number of poorly coached games. I don't think you would say that this year Alabama's talent was terrible. They had the reigning Heisman Trophy winner and perhaps the reigning best player in college football in Will Anderson. They had plenty of talent, but they just were pretty sloppy. And it's a college football landscape where there's new ways to disseminate talent via NIL deals and the transfer portal. So it's easier for new coaches to build back and to build up and to flesh out a roster. And I'm not convinced that there's a quick fix to the Alabama problems that besiege them this year, but they did have the number one recruiting class in the country. Secondly, Georgia, reigning national champions. They got the number 2 composite rankings yesterday. They got a big edge rusher out of Florida named Damon Wilson, and Georgia keeps stacking classes and stacking talent. This is why you know that Georgia's going to be a really good team for a really long time, is that they are not the beneficiaries of a couple of really good classes and suddenly it's going to dissipate. That Georgia's doing it again this year like they did last year with elite talent. And the power that has become Georgia on the recruiting trail feels that throughout the Southeast, and of course the state of Georgia is great for high school football recruiting, but they go into Florida, they can go into Texas, they go into the Carolinas, they go into Bama and Mississippi. I mean, they get talent from all over the place. South Carolina. UCLA had a huge win earlier in the week when 5-star quarterback Dante Moore decommitted from Oregon and then committed to Chip Kelly and UCLA, which is the highest rated recruit in decades at UCLA. So that was a big win for the Bruins, but it meant that Oregon lost a blue chip quarterback prospect. But fear not. I think there was always a concern that Mario Cristobal finally had that pipeline of talent coming back to Eugene and that they could get back to competing for national championships. But once Cristobal left, could they keep it up? That Cristobal's great strength was recruiting. Well, Dan Lanning put together an excellent recruiting class yesterday. They got a 5-star safety in Peyton Bowen. They got a 5-star edge rusher as well. They had a number of 4-star kids also, and despite losing Dante Moore, they had a great class. So that's huge for Dan Lanning, that he can keep that thing going that Cristobal created as getting a lot of blue-chip prospects in. Ark Manning, as we thought, committed to Texas. So next year you'll be watching Peyton Manning's nephew in Austin, Texas.
Good old Ark.
Ark, the grandson of Archie. Who knows why they named him Ark? They could have just named him Arch. Does sign of the dotted line with UT. And I think you got to keep an eye on Colorado, because Colorado, unsurprisingly, gets Deion Sanders' son to transfer from Jackson State, but they also bring Travis Hunter with them. And Travis Hunter was last year's number one, or one of the top recruits in the country, and he was supposed to go to Florida State, and then the last second flipped to Jackson State, which is one of the craziest flips of all time, that you had a kid that was going to go to a Power 5 program as one of the best players of the nation and decided to go to an FCS HBCU. But thus was the power of Deion Sanders, and still is the power of Deion Sanders, as Travis Hunter is going to end up following Deion. So Colorado had a good day yesterday, a very good day by their standards, a great day. And clearly one of the big winners already, with just a week and a half on the job, are the Buffs, because they got better talent, they got more attention, and they've got way better social media now than they ever have as well.
I'm on Twitter or Facebook right now.
Did you ever think that you would care about a Colorado Buffaloes football team meeting? Did you ever think you'd watch 8 minutes of that on YouTube? The answer is no. Most of the nation did when Deion went there and started saying, you guys got to leave because I'm bringing in my own guys.
And kept telling them, I'm coming.
I'm coming, and I'm bringing my luggage. And that luggage is Louis Vuitton. It is a Thirsty Thursday, so we want to know who you're toasting to. Tweet at me, DA on CBS, and I will read through those toasts over the course of the morning. I'll also give you our toasts. We will all bring the toast to you next hour as well. Mark tweets in, DA, in the heat of the night feels like a big TBS pre-Braves lead-in. It's a great one. In the heat of the night. There's definitely a series of B-list and like high C-list movies and TV shows that TBS used to run in the 90s before and after Braves games. David Spade often says that Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2 keep the lights on there at TBS. So they run those often as well. But we're talking about in the 90s when the Braves games were on everywhere on TBS all across the country. What were the reruns and the movies they were playing back then? When we come back here on the show, Jags and Jets, a surprisingly tasty game coming up tonight.
I think it's a quarter mile long, the boat, which, again, there has to be. I mean, we couldn't come up with another canal. This is the only canal that we could figure out. I mean, this, to me, it's remarkable. You're right. And I would bet some texting while driving here, not paying attention as you're humming through the canal, maybe texting, something like that. Now, on a positive note, it's not a positive. It's going to take 25 extra days to go around the southern tip of Africa. And just think of the wildlife you could see, though, if you're hugging the coast of Africa, maybe some elephants and stuff like that. I do worry, though, and this, maybe you guys can fill me in, how close is that southern tip to Antarctica? Do we start worrying about ice and stuff like that as well?
No, they're okay.
Reals out there.
No. There's no that, and I don't think there's any sightseeing. You've been to the beaches in Long Island. You've seen these huge ships, how far they are away from the coast. They're not seeing elephants as they're cruising down around South Africa. That's not happening either.
I didn't know how tight, like, the northern frozen part of Antarctica was to the southern tip of Africa. I didn't know if it got a little tight down there.
It's not tight.
No, you're good.
It's definitely not like you look left, there's elephants. You look right, there's penguins.
I know not literally, but
Is that Santa?
It might just be a couple miles long. You might have to hug closer to Africa for the warm water.
It's not the Suez Canal. They're not going to get stuck between Antarctica and Africa. Don't worry.
No, South Africa generally really, really hot.
Okay.
Antarctica
all right.
generally really, really cold.
Okay, see, I wasn't aware. I thought maybe just the northern Africa was really hot and southern Africa has more of a winter.
So you were thinking that where there's elephants and giraffes, that those animals might be huddled in snowstorms.
You know, now that you say that, I guess you're right. I think elephants can flock in the snow. I've seen them.
Hey, kids, look over to your left. Out the left window, you're going to see a bunch of giraffes. To the right, there's polar bears. This is the only place on Earth you can see two climates from the window.
Well, you know how they say at the end of Alaska, you can see Russia, and like from the North Shore of Long Island, you can see Connecticut? You don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. On one side, we have Nelson Mandela. On the other side, penguins and huge whales and Antarctica. Waving to each other across the skinny batch of water.
When have any of us been there? We didn't know how tight it was down there. I just found it interesting.
No, we all did, except you. No one else was wondering if it's cold for these ships as they go on underneath Africa.
Is it
a lot
tight?
of product.
Like you've got to like go sideways through it. You might not be able to get.
No.
Single file, everybody.
You know,
listeners out there know what I mean.
This is that tight passage between Johannesburg and Antarctica.
But it's not just, it's going to be a frozen part, it's going to be the warm part of the water, and you got to miss that. That's all.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Mornings are hard. Your sports radio show doesn't have to be.
I'm so happy you guys are still alive.
I am excited.
I am so happy. Laugh and learn every morning aboard the mothership.
Ooh. Have a good day. And all my homies gonna ride today. And all these mommies look fly today. And all we wanna do is get by today. Hey, we're gonna have a good day.
It's gonna gonna be a good day with DA.
Hey, duh.
I do love the duh.
Happy Being Alive Day.
Mornings on CBS Sports Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah! And we come to you live from the Rocket Mortgage Studios. Whether you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance yours, Rocket Mortgage can help you get there. For home loan solutions that fit your life, Rocket can. We have made it! Coming your way in just 20 minutes. It's the number one of the 12 DAs of Christmas. The most memorable moment of 2022 is on the docket. Coming up, and full reaction afterwards. That's in 20 minutes from now. In 40 minutes from now, it's a Thirsty Thursday. We are toasting to the good stuff this morning. And later on in the show, Immaculate Reception 50th anniversary is tomorrow. The passing of Franco Harris yesterday makes it feel even more significant of a anniversary. And so we will have both sides of the coin coming up here. Next hour, the kicker that day for the Steelers, Roy Gerela, who won 3 Super Bowls with the Steelers, is going to join us. For the winner's side, hour number 4, outspoken linebacker Phil Villapiano has the loser side. He was one of the great characters of the 70s Oakland Raiders teams and also a close friend of Franco's. We'll have him on the show, hour 4. So plenty of coverage and some of my favorite NFL film snippets from the story of the Immaculate Reception. By the way, one of our listeners, Aaron, who's a long time DA alien, he must be listening to the show 10 years. He goes back to the overnight days. Saw on social media my thoughts on Franco's passing, my thoughts on the Immaculate Reception, and he tweets at me a picture of his uncle's basement. And in it, there is AstroTurf running from where the camera is towards the fireplace, almost like a rug. And it says 40-yard line on it. It's a green piece of AstroTurf. And Aaron tweets at me, DA, since you're a big NFL history guy, this is the actual turf from where Franco caught the Immaculate Reception. My wife's uncle bought the entire Three Rivers turf at auction. Even has the COA with it. And there is something incredibly ridiculous about all of this. It's incredible and it's ridiculous and incredibly ridiculous. Number one, I'm looking at some dude's basement and the part of the turf where Franco Harris caught the Immaculate Reception is just there in front of the fireplace.
Come on, man.
That seems wrong. Like it should be in Canton or it should be in the Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame or the Steelers should own it or something. It should be part of their practice facility. I don't know. There's something about that.
Some random dude's basement.
The second, though, part is I don't think I'd want a big piece of AstroTurf in my basement. You know, I'll retweet the picture here because it looks like it was cut by scissors. And then can you buy 100 yards of AstroTurf? And how much does that cost? And what do you do with the other 99.6 yards of this? I mean, it's really wide. This is just a little strip. This is like one hash mark. What do you do with how long could that, how many cubic yards is that AstroTurf that you bought? Did you buy the entire turf of a stadium? And you could buy that? There's so many questions I have for Aaron's wife's uncle.
I feel like you can get pretty good deals on AstroTurf now, right? I mean, it's been basically phased out.
Totally
Phased out outside of like those indoor like soccer buildings where you know, where I feel like I used to play indoor soccer and you lose all of your skin on your knee if you even slide like for a second.
Yeah, like who has the Vets' old turf? Who has Giant Stadium's old turf?
They cut it up into squares and distributed it around the country.
Who has Riverfront's old turf? Does somebody own this? Did it just get thrown into a junk pile? Did it get incinerated? It begs so many questions.
Step off a curb.
Get hit by a bus. And now you have the Three Rivers turf in your basement. Okay, so let's go into tonight's Jaguars and Jets game. The Jets are 500-7-7. The Jaguars are 6-8. But the Jags have an outside shot of making the playoffs. They've got to win tonight, but the door has been opened because, don't look now, Ryan Tannehill is done for the season, meaning the Titans, who are only a game up on the Jaguars, must turn to rookie Malik Willis for the final 3 weeks of the season. Tonight's a surprisingly tasty game.
Third and goal from the 10. Trevor drops again. Fires right side of the end zone. That ball is caught for the touchdown. Marvin Jones Jr.
I've known him, I guess, like you said, since the draft process. You know, we both trained out in California, pretty close to one another. So he trained with someone else, but I met him out there. We actually use the same chef, so met him out there. So I've seen him a few different times since then. Obviously, we played up there last year. And I've always had a good relationship with him. We've kept in touch.
Fake the handoff. Wilson has time. And he's intercepted. Picked off by Jerry Jacobs, working the sideline, out of bounds. There's the big gaffe that has plagued Zach Wilson.
I've always believed in myself since day one, and regardless if anybody else does or not, I've always believed in myself. And at the end of the day, I have a great support system, and I think the guys around me, they believe in me as well. And I just want to go out there and just do everything I can to help us get the job done offensively to help us win games.
We heard both quarterbacks, and that was, of course, Ian Eagle on the NFL on CBS in between. And so the situation is this. The Titans are 7-7, and they have the Texans coming up this weekend. But again, no Ryan Tannehill. The Jaguars are 6-8. So a Jaguars win tonight and a Titans loss, which feels unlikely because the Texans are so bad, but certainly not out of the realm of possibility with how poorly the Titans are playing, would mean, in the standings at least, 2 7-8 squads tied for the AFC South. If you had to choose the future of one of these two teams, Jaguars or Jets, it's a tough call because the Jets' defense is so filthy. It's so good. They've got Pro Bowlers at every level. Quinnen Williams, defensive lineman. C.J. Mosley, linebacker. Sauce Gardner at corner. They have one of the best scoring defenses in football, and they have kept this Jets team in every single game. But they did give up the big touchdown in 4th and short last week, which lost the game against the Lions. But the Jets defense is absolutely phenomenal this year. And you would imagine Robert Saleh at the helm, a guy like Gardner just getting started in his NFL career, one of the best corners already, that the Jets defense should be very good for a very long time. And Garrett Wilson looks like a star at wide receiver. Breece Hall, before his injury, looked like a star at running back. The Jets have a very bright future. But you can't make up for greatness at quarterback unless you have an absolutely superior roster like, say, the 49ers. And the Jets, even though they've got a really, really good bunch of young players that are coming up, they don't have that type of support. They don't have that type of well-rounded roster. And so if you had to choose a future, I think you do have to choose the Jaguars because they've got some good, young, bright, up-and-coming players as well. But they have a QB that has shown over the last month and a half that he can be, at his best, one of the best quarterbacks in football. And if you have that, it erases everything else. Look, is it possible to win without a great quarterback? The Niners are proving it. I don't think anybody thinks that Brock Purdy is the next coming of Joe Montana or Tom Brady. And so the fact that they're winning, Jimmy Garoppolo certainly has his limitations. The fact that they have won all season long, that they've won with Garoppolo, they've won with Purdy, proves that you don't have to have an elite quarterback to win. But those stories are few and far between. Top seeds in the AFC. Bills, elite quarterback. Chiefs, elite quarterback. Bengals, elite quarterback. Ravens, when healthy, elite quarterback. Chargers, elite quarterback. Dolphins, quarterback that's playing like an elite quarterback. In the NFC, Eagles, MVP candidate this year. Vikings, a quarterback that has played really well this season. 49ers, okay. Cowboys, okay. Dak has certainly had issues. But if you want sustained success at the top of the standings, having a guy as great as Trevor has been the last month and a half to 2 months is usually a requisite. Usually. So I think if you had to choose, you choose the Jaguars, but ultimately the Jets have a lot to like going forward as well. The issue is, as I talked about the other day, for Zach Wilson, it just keeps getting worse. And here's what I mean. If Zach Wilson was drafted by a team that knew it was going to be bad, he'd have some more on a leash to make mistakes. If he was drafted by a good team, like this one, but had been in the playoffs recently, he'd have some more patience. And if he was drafted by a team that wasn't as great on defense to make the woes of the offense glare even brighter, he'd have more patience. But all of this is combined on top of being for a franchise in New York where there's a ton of scrutiny and a very intense and aggressive fan base working against him. There's no patience for this. He's not a finished product. He's not polished. He doesn't do a lot of the easy things. He doesn't do the simple things. He makes them hard. And his attitude, certainly after that Patriots game, was poor. So he's got a city that needs him to win. He's got a franchise, a team that looks like it's ready to win in spite of him. It's got an elite defense, and it's got a franchise that hasn't been to the playoffs in 12 years. It's all working against him. Had he gone to an off-the-radar outpost, let's just say the Texans, Zach Wilson can afford to be what Zach Wilson is right now. But he just can't afford that in New York with the Jets. And tonight is going to be just another hammer to the head because you're going to watch him and compare him to Trevor Lawrence. And they're both the same draft. And they're one pick away from one another. And one guy's going to look like a finished product or close to it tonight. And one guy's going to look like he's still trying to figure this thing out like a deer that hasn't learned how to walk yet. And be like, oh, boy, this is awkward. This is weird. This is uncomfortable. I'm sure Zach Wilson's going to throw 3 passes tonight where you go, oh, God, what is that? And Trevor Lawrence is going to throw 3 passes where you're like, oh, my God, that's beautiful.
Uh-huh.
And now it's on national TV for the entire world to see as the Jets are scrambling to stay in the playoff race. So it can't get any worse for Zach Wilson as his flaws are put on display for all to see every single week. Tom Boyle, whose future would you rather have, Jaguars or Jets?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to say the Jets because I am fully on the Mike White train.
Wow.
So once this, what was that?
It was a drop.
That was a drop? Okay, because we do have Mraz for the 12 DAs of Christmas coming up, so I thought he
Down
jumped
the
in
line,
there.
but yeah, no.
But no, I'm all on the Mike White train. I think he has proven not only last year in the couple of starts, but in the few starts he's gotten this year, throwing for 950 yards in 3 games. This offense works with him. The Jets were a quarterback away all year. Zach Wilson isn't the guy. He sucks. Sorry to say it, but that's the case. Maybe he has a future elsewhere, not in New York. So if they try to continue to fit a square peg in a round hole, I would say I want the Jags' future. I love Doug Peterson. Lawrence this year, the last month, finally looks like the number 1 draft pick we all thought he would be, the can't miss, the Andrew Luck, the Peyton Manning.
So you believe Mike White is the future of the Jets?
Absolutely. And if Mike
27 years old, you're like, that's our guy, cornerstone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he knows what to do when he's got the football. He makes his reads. He simplifies everything when, like you said, Zach Wilson makes the easy difficult and painful and uncomfortable. So if Mike White's under center next year, I think the Jets are a dark horse to win the Super Bowl. That's not a hot take, man. The defense is there. I think they're mirroring their game after the 49ers. Niners have the number 1 defense, and they've got a system where it doesn't matter if it's Trey Lance, if it's Garoppolo, if it's now Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. The Jets, if they get their 2 stud tackles back next year, which they will, Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera-Tucker, Breece Hall would have been the runaway offensive rookie of the year.
Okay.
So they got the run game, and you got a quarterback where I'm not asking Mike White to be a Pro Bowler. You're asking him to limit the mistakes. They're going to be special.
Oh, my. Okay, here we go.
Hold on.
So I'd rather have the Jets' future.
When we come back on the show, it's number 1 on the 12 DAs of Christmas, and Mraz will join us to analyze what was voted by the crew as the most memorable moment of the year. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5.
Mraz actually is a born and bred Nets fan. He is not a Johnny-come-lately. He has been a New Jersey Nets fan, despite not being from New Jersey, nor any part of his family being from New Jersey, dating back to like the early 2000s teams.
I fell in love with Stephon Marbury when my dad used to watch the Nets, and I was devastated when they traded him for Jason Kidd. If you're wondering on this show why I'm never boisterous about the Nets, well, frankly, they've sucked for the whole entirety of me being a part of CBS Sports Radio. So what was I going to brush my shoulder off about?
Well, now you're going to be very boisterous.
Oh, yeah. Piggy Doodle Dandy's coming down for the Brooklyn squad now.
So oink, oink in the NBA playoffs.
Can't wait for the parade.
What would be your advice for the type of fashion that Jacob Wilkins should be wearing to get himself to the next level? He's looking to become a real high-end play-by-play guy.
Maybe then what I see is people wearing like a little more formal stuff, like maybe an entire suit.
Yeah, instead of the jeans. Yeah.
If you look like you know where you're going, you usually are wearing that.
Dress for the job you
want. Right, exactly.
Not the job that you have.
Right.
Okay. All right, Jacob. Thanks.
But overall,
we're gonna get back to you here next. Let's welcome in producer Shep, Dave Shepard. He's 32 years old. He's a sports radio producer. Works here at both CBS Sports Radio and and a little twist, little turn.
Okay.
Wow, and some dancing as well over at Sirius XM. Now he's shaking the hand of Lisa, and he's wearing also a black jacket with a white and blue checkered button-down shirt, darker jeans as well, and a pair of sneakers. They are black sneakers, maybe Nike of some sort. And so he's not trying to balance himself in the middle. He's really doing a little show for you. What do you think about this?
I actually like this. This is cute. I like the blue and white checkers. I think it looks good. I like that your thing is closed, but usually men only close one
His
button.
jacket is closed. His jacket,
Yeah,
not his fly. Yes, his jacket is
I love
closed.
that your fly is closed. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That's amazing. No, I like the dark jeans. It all works.
It all works. Now they have other costumes to be able to change into during commercial break to show you some different styles from them. This is just the best style that they feel right now, but you are allowed to tell them what looks good, what doesn't when you look at some of their other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this works. I really do.
So you got what about his haircut
here? The sneakers
here?
makes it like fun, and then that's like a pop of like quirkiness and funkiness with the checkers.
Which is the checkered shirt.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you think about the haircut? Is it a good haircut? Should he grow it out a little bit? Should it?
No, you don't need to grow that out. That's good.
That's the correct. He's got kind of half sideburns. Should he keep that length of the sideburns?
I got that. It looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good. What would be your advice for the type?
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. The 12 DAs of Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
Somebody screwed me here!
Who can trust you?
Somebody screwed me! I look like a fool now! I don't want to look like a fool!
Me neither.
Why are we not focused on that instead? What power sounds like? Why am I doing this? Why am I typing a script like this?
What evidence do you have that you have the stick handling, skating ability, balance, speed, or agility of Pavel Bure? What evidence?
I don't have evidence.
Okay.
I'm so done with it. I'm done with the whole thing. I'm done with working 500 hours a day. I'm really over it. I want to win Powerball. I want to get something out of this whole thing that they call life. Enough.
The time is now. The place is here. And the whole wide world is filled with shit.
On November the 8th, we thought we had all of the 12 DAs wrapped up and there was only the final vote to tally. But instead, we were surprised by one final flourish in the pants. You know it as the oopsie heard around the world. It's number one on the 12 DAs of Christmas.
Number one.
He's a legend. He's a franchise icon. No.
Natural gas.
Don't do it. I know you had Scrapple yesterday. No. Perez said it offhandedly like that's what the fanatic does.
Can't say that.
Oh, you broke Pete and the call back.
I just wet my pants.
He's still going. I can see he's left the room now. He's on his way to the bathroom. Oh my God.
You're listening on the radio.
What'd you say, DA?
I said something that you can't say that Mraz said the Philly Fanatic was doing. And Mraz melted down laughing and then got off the ground after laughing, held his butt cheeks and said, I just went in my pants and waddled out of the studio.
Usually that happens when you're about to die.
Yeah, they're both vampires.
Yeah. It's like when there's a supercharge on your electrical outlet and then everything shuts down for a moment.
A brownout.
Yeah, it's just a complete brownout.
Oh, no, he's back.
I got a candidate for the 12 DAs, okay?
Same pants are on.
Okay.
He looks beaten, though.
Boy, it looks like Brian Dable after the last loss.
He does. How you doing?
A lot of paper towels. I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even look at you guys in the eye right now.
I feel bad for anyone in that hallway.
Mraz is looking down like a dog that went on the kitchen.
I don't know what
Should we hold your face in it?
I don't know. Might laugh too hard up and friction down, and luckily it wasn't, mega poundage. So just a little wet.
Before you
honestly, I know you guys think I can live. I'm ashamed right now. I was kind of hoping I came back and you guys are midway through the update.
No.
The show's over. I mean, I'll show Pete how wet the back of my cheeks are.
You can see it, Pete? It's visible?
Oh, no.
Oh, my.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God. It's like somebody dumped a milkshake down his pants.
Again.
I have to stand through this and taping side B of the PG Pig.
Well, we are not taping side B together.
Yes, we are.
We're not.
I have a towel in my car.
I have a towel, of course.
And before you tell us that happens to other people, this is not normal.
This one is no defense.
Okay.
You even have me say it.
Oh, my goodness. November the 8th is your number one 12 DA of Christmas. We have made it to the end of the road, and we have crowned the most memorable moment of the year. If you needed context, the story, you may not need context.
I don't think so.
There's a reason the story was kind of cut out.
The story that got us on that track was the Broncos were making a trip to London, and Russell Wilson said on the flight he was doing high knees and stretches, and we all rolled our eyes. Then the Seahawks made the trip to London, and the Seahawks mascot made fun of Russell Wilson by saying, oh, I did high knees too. So we did the story like, how disrespected can you be of a franchise icon when you're clowning him as the mascot? And that led us down the road of suggesting it would be the Philly fanatic doing something terrible to Dale Murphy.
Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt.
Oh, Mike Schmidt.
A non-oopsie. And on purpose.
A purposeful oopsie to Mike Schmidt. And we're like, that was Mraz's suggestion. And I went into this riff of, is that what the Philly fanatic does? Is that what you think he does to taunt other ball players? And then Bogus said, yeah, he does that to Bobby Cox. And I said, yeah, he does that to Dale Murphy. And then I phrased it exactly the way that we were describing, and Pete the Body says, and we were already laughing pretty loudly at this whole bit, and Pete goes, you can't say that, and takes his big old finger, slams it down to the dump button. If you were watching on Twitch or on YouTube or Watch DA, you would have heard what I said. But on radio, and we just replayed it, it was dumped, obviously. But this sent Mraz into a tizzy. He falls on his knees to the ground laughing. And in this moment, it happens. If you were to Google right now, radio producer soils himself, the top match is TMZ Sports. There's a picture of Mraz laughing and then a picture of Mraz in pain, which would be side by side. And it reads, quote, get a load of this. A sports radio producer literally couldn't keep his crap together after hearing a joke live on the air. He laughed so hard, he soiled his pants. Here's the deal. CBS Sports Radio contributor Sean Morash, ironically enough, reacting to a silly conversation about the Philly fanatic doing something to people's chests when disaster struck for himself. He damn near came out of his chair over the joke that admitted he made mud pie in his trousers.
Mud pie.
That description is just as awful as the act itself.
The story now at TMZ has pictures of celebrities on the toilet embedded in here. There's a Wayans brother, I think. Daenerys Stormborn from Game of Thrones is in here too. What is happening
on the can?
It's celebrity toilet selfies. Click here to launch gallery.
Mraz, you got to get in that gallery.
The last line of TMZ Sports' recap, the most disgusting part came when Mraz showed off the damage with the crew looking on in horror. Quote, he explained exactly what happened, saying I laughed too hard up, friction down. Luckily, it wasn't mega poundage. That's your number one on the 12 DAs of Christmas.
And that dumper.
Now, what's interesting is that while Pete vehemently argues against this being the number one moment, nobody laughed louder or longer than Pete in that clip. Mraz, that is your defense, is that he can claim it's bathroom humor, lowbrow, whatever, but nobody got a bigger kick out of any moment of the year than what you hear Pete laughing as you did what you did.
Well, D.A., remember, it's not about Pete's laughter. It's about the fans, as Pete let us know. It's about the fans. And ultimately, the trigger that let me have a loose goose, if you will, was Pete.
I won't.
Was Pete saying, can't say that, and just me watching his hand wind up like he was a third base coach to wave somebody home, only to click that dump button down. That's what made me lose it. And just for clarification, because I don't know if this story has ever come out, why I fall to the ground is I'm laughing so hard my headphone cord yanks out and my adapter is falling to the ground. So I try to do a one mover, pick it up, plug in, and keep laughing, and it was too much movement for my body to handle.
I think you're an idiot. One mover.
I don't think that story's ever been told
or known to be asked about. If I may, in Pete's defense here, Pete's problem with this was not how good of a moment it was. It was the technicality of, did it beat the deadline? So his laughter is kind of disconnected from the situation.
You're giving him too much credit. It wasn't. He made up that it was too close to the deadline because
he wanted to be number one next year. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be number one next year to protect Sterling.
He wanted the Fat Journal because he put it together, which was good, but I don't think anything could top this.
Really? So Tom Boyle is voting for this as number one?
Yeah, for sure.
What? You know,
I mean, the shock factor alone gets it up there. Then the fact that it went viral, picked up by hundreds of news sources, and Mraz poops himself on air. You can't beat that.
You're right.
I mean,
that should be enough.
You can't beat it, but on the other hand, it shouldn't happen. Which honestly was part of my decision making here in keeping the Fat Journal with John Sterling at number one, is because that was pure creation. That was pure professionalism in a way. Like I guess to use Pete's word, it felt wrong to reward Sean's loose bowels for creating a moment that if any other human was sitting in that chair would have never happened.
Folks, it comes down to this for me. Poop's funny. Poop will always be funny.
I just don't like him.
And as well thought out and creative as Pete putting together the Fat Journal was, you can't beat on the moment authenticity and poop. You can't beat it.
It's a devastating combination. It's like Jordan and Pippen.
Yeah. So mark that down, Pete. If you want to win next year's number one, do something funny while pooping.
This is the first year, though, that we got sidetracked into who won the 12 DAs. It's always been about what's the most memorable, and that we all win because they're all awesome moments. Somehow this year it was rewarding and what was right for the fans and the integrity and who won. It was just we got so sidetracked on the true meaning of the 12 DAs.
So what does Sean's butt get for this?
It became dirty politics. Cap, B. It's unbelievable. DA, also I have to say, you read the TMZ article. Awful Announcing wrote one in the paragraph. It said, if you were to poll the radio industry on who is most likely to stage pooping themselves for attention, it would be Mraz. And if you were to poll them to say who's most likely to actually do it, it would also be Mraz. Which was, paraphrasing one of the lines and paragraphs of News in the Year.
Come on, man.
I mean, how amazing is it and deplorable that Mraz's reputation in the industry is potentially staging this for attention.
None of that's a lie.
It's so embarrassing. 99.9% of people in the industry would never admit it. One guy is known for potentially faking it for the attention.
Or doing it for real. He's cornered the market on wetting himself on the radio. Real or staged, he's your guy. It's a clean sweep.
Phil Steele basically looks at me and says, I can't figure this guy out. Can't figure this team out.
It wasn't a clean sweep. It was a dirty sweep.
Yeah, dirty sweep. Yeah, Mraz is not only the league MVP, but also the NBA Finals MVP. He collected them all.
Yeah. MVP and Cy Young.
The MVP of the toilet bowl.
Oh, he's the MVP. You know what the P stands for? And he's the Cy Dung Award winner as well.
That's horrible.
Sponsored by Charmin.
Cy Dung. He's the Cy Dung Award winner. Mraz collects the trophies. He's got 7 Cy Dungs.
I collect Charmin Bear sweatshirts with you.
Yeah, let's speak about that for a second, because I'm sure Pete's frustrated too. Because once again, nobody really shames you. There's no negative. You're going to do this again. And Charmin's sending you a gift package of toilet paper and hooded, bare-eared Charmin sweatpants. Nobody's, and the other company sent you
dude wipes.
Dude wipes.
Yeah.
Right. No one's scolding you for this. They're rewarding you for it.
And I do have to say, this is the perfect time to say, on Friday, in my mailbox, I did receive a beautiful box with 6 fresh new pairs of underwear. However, there was no note attached. So whoever sent it, whatever listener, thank you so much. I am wearing a new pair today. They are beautiful.
Will they see February 1st?
Like
they might be tattered they'll be tattered like a pirate flag, but they'll see it.
It's like Groundhog Day. Will the underwear see its stains?
Well, again, you missed that follow-up. Aside from the oopsie,
we end up putting a top hat on Mraz's underwear and pull it out of a hole or the drawer to see its shadow on February
6 more weeks of clean laundry.
Poops a Tawny Phil.
You know what? Boyle's right. Poop's funny. There's a pun for all of it.
Thank you, Bogues. How? Now we just got to turn Bilotti.
Oh, man. So that's it. Mraz, congratulations. This was for the fans.
Thank you. You know, whenever I soil myself, it's always for the fans.
Or the clicks and the likes.
So you're celebrating Taylor's birthday today, huh? 3.
Yeah, Taylor's 3 years old. She's asked for a firefighter-themed birthday, so we have all the hats set up for cake later and everything. Wow. I think we might have an afternoon at Chuck E. Cheese ahead of us, DA.
Look out. All right.
There's a lot going on today. Big 3 years old. Can't believe it. We made it.
All right. Congratulations to Taylor. I loved Taylor last week when you were filling in on WFN in New York and you were with a different co-host, and she said, "Where's DA?
That's all she cares.
That's not DA."
She definitely likes DA more than me, so that's
good.
As she should.
As she should.
Yes.
I've been more of a father figure.
It's crazy. And think about it, DA. Time flies. She's 3. When she was 1, she was pulling my tail as I was putting my face in pudding. So it's been that long.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
2 Bob's Bars ago.
Yeah, well, that was actually from home, a different situation.
Oh, yeah.
But the point is, like that, that's how far she's come. She's been made multiple DA show appearances. Now she's 3.
Well, she's a little bit like Ken Griffey Jr. when we saw him around Ken Griffey Sr. like at ballparks and stuff like that. We've seen Taylor on the DA show from a very early age, so when she eventually becomes a UConn women's basketball star, we will have known her from a very early age
and
in the public spotlight.
And on that note of following Ken Griffey Sr. around, I was in the midst of potty training her when I soiled myself. So she is now officially more trained than me.
It should also be noted, Mraz once questioned, why am I always the poop guy? Well, the fans have spoken.
It was about the fans.
All right, happy birthday to Taylor, man. Have a good day.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
AB has our headline.
And they're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Before the World Cup, there were reports that Leo Messi might soon move to MLS and Inter Miami, but now reports in Paris say Messi has agreed in principle to remain at PSG for at least one more season. His current contract runs out this June. These new reports say no other club, Miami, Barcelona, anybody else, had made a formal offer to Messi's camp. As for our football, Jets-Jaguars tonight will be played in rain and wind here in the New York area. Less than ideal conditions for Doug Peterson's team to continue its playoff push.
Anything's possible. I understand that, and what we've done the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's 2 games, still got a big road ahead.
But as DA mentioned to start the hour, it certainly helps the Jags' cause. The Titans QB Ryan Tannehill might be dealing with a season-ending right ankle injury. Trace McSorley makes his first career start when the Cardinals meet the Buccaneers this weekend because Colt McCoy has a concussion. Pascal Siakam, one of the most underrated players in the NBA.
Thad Young inbounds to Siakam. Pascal gets away from the pressure, straight down Main Street, straight at the rim, lays it up and in, +1. He's got 51 and a free throw coming for Siakam.
That free throw gave him a career-high 52 in a 113-106 win at the Garden, ending the Knicks' 8-game win streak. Donovan Mitchell scored 36 to lead the Cavaliers past the Bucks, 114-106. The Lakers losing in Sacramento, 134-120. And the Nets pummeled the Warriors 143-113. That's a 7-game win streak for Brooklyn, a 1-5 road trip for Golden State. College poops, top-ranked Purdue dismissed New Orleans 74-53.
Funny.
At number 8, Tennessee down to Austin Peay 86-44, but number 25, Arizona State took a 97-60 beating at San Francisco. Western Kentucky hammered South Alabama 44-23 in the New Orleans Bowl. And former Wisconsin starting QB Graham Mertz is transferring to Florida. On ice, the Oilers snapped a 3-game skid, 6-3 in Dallas. Nashville sent Chicago to its 8th consecutive loss, 4-2. And the Wild beat the Ducks for a 13th straight time, 4-1 in Anaheim. DA, back to you.
As you mentioned, Jaguars and Titans. If the Jaguars win tonight, Titans lose without Tannehill. Now, granted, they play the Texans. They would be tied in the division. They will play each other Week 18, final regular season game. But the Jaguars next week have the Texans. Titans next week have the Cowboys. So the Jaguars do control their own destiny. And a win tonight opens up the path perfectly for them. All they have to do is beat the terrible Titans and assume the Cowboys can beat Malik Willis.
Are we rolling towards a Week 18 Sunday night flexed Jaguars-Titans Malik Willis game on Sunday Night Football?
It might be. That might be the win and in game.
And Malik Willis's only other Sunday Night Football game almost pulled off the upset against the Chiefs.
Yeah, good point.
They were 14-point dogs, and they took them to OT.
Yeah.
Or either OT or the final possession.
Right. Tight game at the end.
It was 2017.
By the way, on the 12 DAs of Christmas, you can watch all of them, relive them in all of their beauty and ridiculousness and soiledness by going to YouTube, search CBS Sports Radio's channel, and then click on playlists. All 12 are there. We'll replay this coming up in hour number 4, and I will unveil the full vote of this moment, who voted it won, and the other votes that came in on the Oops You Heard Around the World. But when we come back, it's a Thirsty Thursday. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Oh, no! Oh,
Taylor, come here, pull
God,
my tail.
Perez has the pigtail out of his butt, and you can see his butt cheek.
Taylor, pull my tail. Pull my tail, sweetheart. Pull it. Oh, my ears are falling off. Danielle, can we get a squeal? Piggy squeal. No.
Louder, Danielle, louder!
Squeal, pig, squeal.
Everybody yell louder.
No.
Back.
Are you gagging?
Get that nose in that pudding, Perez. Get that.
Oink, oink. Oink, oink.
Do we have an EMT there?
Perez is going in for the pudding. He's smearing it all over his face. He's bobbing for bacon.
Like Aaron Boone sucks.
That's right. Tell us all about the 2021 Yankees, Mraz.
They're not going to survive, and neither am I. Oh, my God. You know, bacon's not bad, but I'm so overwhelmed with a cold.
Feed the pig.
What did the pig say? No, Taylor's not having it. Nobody's having it here, DA. It's a bad scene. No. Oh, she is not happy. We don't have a happy kitten with a daycare. She's covered in chocolate. I'm covered in chocolate. Oink, oink, oink.
Where is Danielle? Is Danielle witnessing this?
Yeah, she's the one filming the sky cam right now. She's not happy with the scene. She's not happy she's got to clean my kid up. She's called it disgusting, DA, any comment? I mean, Danielle.
I just said it was disgusting.
You can't get it. You're not looking at the mic.
This is disgusting.
Be quiet. Danielle is now questioning whether I need to eat the whole pie.
Oh, you got to keep eating. You got to keep eating until all the bacon's gone.
Oh, all right. All bacon gotta go.
Can we get the picture of Taylor up there? Cap, you got to cut to Taylor right now. This is amazing. Look at Taylor. Witness what Daddy is doing.
Get a real job, Taylor. Get a real job out of college, sweetheart.
Taylor is stunned. She's stunned to a news. Witnessing Daddy oink like a pig and eat bacon out of pudding.
What's the pig do? Oink, oink,
oink. She's oddly unfazed by this as well because she's seen so much in her 18 months.
She's not fazed by this at all. This is normal life. The poor kids at preschool, if she can talk. Oh, man, I got chalk on the microphone. I think
How's your Darren Williams jersey, more importantly?
Not good. I think I got pudding
It's
in
the
my
only
eye.
one left.
I got something in my eye. Oh. All right, Taylor.
All
Bury it
right,
in.
well done. Well done.
Feed the pig.
Oh, no. Taylor's now going in to eat like a pig.
Oink, oink, oink. Good. No more Yankee bets. I'm done.
Feed the pig.
Tell Danielle thank you very much for playing along with us.
Thank you very much for playing along with us. You can go to your real job now. Oh, DA, I hope I'm being said pretzels for this, was her comment.
You got to cut away to Skycam again. Cap, Skycam is so good.
Yeah, you gonna have a good day? All right. That's a wrap here from here, DA.
Okay. Oh, well done. That is great. Pete the Body Bilotti, witnessing all of that. How do you feel?
I'm stunned to a news at what I just saw. That's remarkable that any of that could happen within a time period.
Right now, Mraz is wiping the pudding off of his face.
Oh, all right. There's
trying to
chocolate
hear-
all over Taylor. She's gonna need a pre-pre.
We're toasting to the good life.
I feel alive.
We are feeling good and doing well.
How many beers ago? Probably 1,000.
It's the DA Show's Thirsty Thursday.
Celebrating with some booskies.
All right, time to toast to the good stuff here, guys. Pat Boyle is in for Mraz today. Who you toasting to?
I'm going to keep this one PG. For the holidays, usually it's a stressful time for a lot of people. Getting gifts for family, for friends. A lot of people I feel like are tough to shop for. Oh, what do you want for Christmas? Oh, I don't know. No, it's like, tell me what you want. Just tell me what you want. So I got a toast to my brother and my sister because they have essentially now for the last 2 years taken care of like all of the family gifts. My mom, my dad, my aunt, and most importantly now, my nephews. Because, you know, what toys they want, what things they want. And that's now that I feel like I'm older, that's the most special part about Christmas for me is seeing their eyes light up when they open up gifts that they wanted and seeing them go nuts. And then just my brother and my sister, they said, here's what I want. Here's the link to it. You don't need to surprise me. And you know, then I did try to go out of my way to get them, you know, one or two other things special that they weren't expecting. But for the most part, they took care of my parents' gifts. They took care of the nephews' gifts. They said, here's what if you want to split it, here's what you owe me. We got it all taken care of.
There you go.
So
simple.
Yeah, Booskies to my brother and my sister. They have taken all the stress out of Christmas shopping for me.
Very nice. Booskies. Andrew Bogish, who are you toasting to?
DA, I'm going to toast in absentia today the one and only Pete the Body Bilotti. Despite the way the voting turned out for whatever reasons that they did, the Fat Journal execution from Tiki, Sterling, top to bottom.
Yep.
Excellent work from Pete Bilotti. Arguably the greatest, serial radio bit in recent memory, and he was the man behind it. And didn't get the rewards he necessarily deserved in general, but for me, number one. So I'm toast Booskies to Pete.
Very nice.
Booskies!
And I will also echo what I said on the PGP, that one of my top 4 moments was the Giants Ring doorbell moment where we end up talking like pirates about Mraz yelling over a Week 1 win. And so much of that is Pete's genius, where he is perfectly dropping in isolated sound bites from the Ring doorbell video to keep stoking the flame of our riffing. And that's why I voted it so high. So that's a good one. Carlos with a K is in for Pete the Body today. Carlos with a K, who are you toasting to?
So I didn't know I was going to be having a toast, but I'll make it brief here. I'm toasting the holidays themselves. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, because without those holidays, full-timers won't take off. And if they don't take off, I'm not here. So toast to the holidays for giving me an opportunity in advanced age of me coming into this industry, giving me a chance to work here. So thank you, multiple holidays. Please, if you don't want to work Valentine's Day, I'll take it. Veterans Day, I'll be here in uniform. I'll take it. You want me to work Martin Luther King Day? I'll do it. So, holidays, Booskies to you.
Okay.
Booskies.
Rosh Hashanah just got real excited. I am toasting to Chris Snow. Chris is the assistant general manager of the Calgary Flames. I actually went to school with Chris, and Chris has had a public fight with ALS. Now, he's only in his early 40s, but ALS has obviously done some damage to his body, and his wife Kelsey has posted pictures of him in the hospital recently as he is fighting this thing. And as devastating as ALS obviously is, it is always inspirational to see Kelsey post about her husband, Chris battle this tooth and nail. He posted a picture of walking through the ICU unit, and he said, "She could feel a gust of wind coming this morning as I did laps." And he's kind of on a walker with a motor behind it. Then she kicked me out, headed to pulmonary, one big step closer to going home. Chris Snow has as much courage, and Kelsey has as much courage as anybody that I know. And it was such a good reminder this holiday season, every time that I felt like, oh man, stressed out, worried, frustrated, whatever. I'm like, man, nothing could have put things in perspective more than seeing Chris battle what he's battling and do it with the spirit that he has. So for all of those around the holidays battling the way that he is, toasts and booskies to you.
Booskies.
We'll do more booskies on the flip side of this break. I want to get to phone calls on a Booski Thursday. And also, the Colts make another change to quarterback. Does Jeff Saturday know what he's doing? We'll do that next. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
That's very good, Damon.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
You're like the fanatic taking a number 2 on Mike Schmidt's chest. You just don't do it.
Does the fanatic do that?
No, I'm saying if he did, this would be
I mean, really? Did he do that on Dale Murphy? When is that a thing that the Philly fanatic does?
Popcorn right out of his nose. It's a matter of disrespect.
Oh my God! Bobby Cox is down prone. Here comes the fanatic squatting over him.
Just say it's a legend, and it's the ultimate disrespect to take a number 2 in somebody's chest.
Oh no, please, David Wright, get off the ground. Here comes the fanatic.
Plop. It's a lot of scrapple.
That image of the Philly fanatic
Natural gas.
squatting over Mike Schmidt, who is laying on his back on the ground like a turtle
With the
on his
stirrups
shell.
on.
Natural gas.
Oh no, fanatic, no.
Natural
No. He's a legend. He's a franchise icon. No.
Natural gas.
Don't do it. I know you had scrapple yesterday. No. I know Geno's went right through you. No, don't do it. Perez did it offhandedly, like that's what the fanatic does. You know, he shoots hot dogs into the stands, takes dumps on your chest.
Can't say that.
Oh, you broke Pete and the clock back.
I just wet my pants.
How you doing?
A lot of paper towels. I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even look at you guys in the eye right now.
I feel bad for anyone in that hallway.
Mraz is looking down like a dog that went on the kitchen.
I don't know what
Should we hold your face in it?
I don't know. I laughed too hard up and friction down, and luckily it wasn't, mega poundage. So just a little wet.
Now, before you tell
Honestly, I know you guys think I can live. I'm ashamed right now. Like I was kind of hoping I came back and you guys are midway through the update.
No.
The show's over. I mean, I'll show Pete how wet the back of my cheeks are.
You can see it, Pete? It's visible?
Oh, no.
Oh my
God. Oh my God.
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
CBS Sports Radio.
Live Live from CBS Radio Studios in New York City, it's the DA Show with your host, Damon Amendolara, featuring producer Mraz and the musical sounds of the Zap Zap Orchestra. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's DA.
All right, and a happy Thursday to you. We come to you live from the Rocket Mortgage Studios. When you need cash out of your home and a simple way to get it, Rocket can. Tomorrow marks 50 years since the Immaculate Reception, arguably the greatest, most impactful play in NFL history. We're going to start talking about it this hour. Roy Girello was the starting place kicker on those Steelers teams for 3 of the Super Bowl runs, and he accounted for all of the points that the Steelers had scored up until the Immaculate Reception. Roy's going to join us to talk about the insanity of that day, and of course, sadly, the passing of Franco Harris coming up in 20 minutes. And when we do that, I'll begin playing some of my favorite NFL Films clips surrounding that play. So Roy Girello on the Steelers side of the Immaculate Reception coming up in 20. Next hour, Phil Villapiano on the Raiders' reaction to that play is going to join us at the top of the hour, so 1 hour from now. Also in 40 minutes, the Brew. The Brew is going to go down in 40 minutes. We'll make our picks on tonight's bowl game. It's a Thirsty Thursday, so bring us your toasts. We'll get to those throughout the hour as well, either on the phones at 855-212-4CBS or on Twitter, DA on CBS. The Colts are making another quarterback change, now benching Matt Ryan and turning to Nick Foles.
Oh, okay.
Now, technically, this is the third starting quarterback under Jeff Saturday. Originally, remember, Sam Ehlinger was supposed to be the starter. Then Saturday took over and installed Matt Ryan as the starter. And now he's going to Nick Foles, who has yet to start or play this season. Why do you do it? Why do you do that? As the Colts will host the Chargers coming up this weekend. It's Monday Night Football, and then at the Giants, and then against the Texans to wrap up things. Yes, Matt Ryan has struggled, no doubt about it. And yes, Matt Ryan is guilty of a lot of turnovers. But this is one of those things where it feels like the Colts under Jeff Saturday don't have much of a plan. Because what is the end game here? The end game is to see whether Nick Foles is your guy. I mean, to me, it's either Matt Ryan or Sam Ehlinger. And the problem with this season has been the roster has been leaky, causing poor quarterback play. So it's been impossible to really judge any of the QBs. And then when they sold a bill of goods about starting Sam Ehlinger, clearly it wasn't truthful. Because at that time, they bench Matt Ryan and go, well, we like that Sam Ehlinger is young and he's mobile. We want to see what we have. Well, if that's the case, then let him ride out the season. If you're assessing a young guy on whether he could be the guy and you're out of the playoffs, which, I mean, the Colts were sagging well before they even fired Jeff Saturday, or hired Jeff Saturday, rather, and fired Frank Reich, then Ehlinger should be the guy. If you're going to fire Frank Reich, then you're already admitting that the season's over. And so then, okay, we're just assessing 2023. So then why would you go back to Matt Ryan? What sense did that make? So then it was about restoring some credibility to the organization, some stability, try to win some games, and they did shock the Raiders. Okay, well, then we're trying to win football games? Well, okay, what are we doing now then? Because you're eliminated from the playoffs. What are we really doing now? Is it back to looking at the future? Have you already decided Ehlinger's definitely not the guy? In 3 weeks, that was it? You're done? Is this about anything but just playing out the string? Is this about whether Jeff Saturday is the right guy for the future? I just think it was so funny. It is so funny. And part of this is going to come off sounding bitter. It really isn't, because I don't care what the Colts do. They don't affect me one way or the other. But there was two very strong opinions on Jeff Saturday's hire. And one was, this is awesome. Get guys from non-traditional backgrounds to coach the football teams. We're picking the same guys over and over again. Why do we need to see more retreads? Try something new. This is great. And then the other half, which is the camp that I was in, was, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous to just assume that every coach in the NFL has so little significance on the game and the game plan or the scheme of the game management that just put anybody that used to play the game in there and that'll be fine. That all you have to be is good in front of a room because Jeff Saturday was an interesting analyst, which was the same garbage pumped out by the Lions when they hired Matt Millen as GM. It's the same hot, stinky garbage. And it's really fun for all of us to clown bad coaching. I mean, look, I made a career on this. But even I have respect for Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, he's been in a system. He's done the job. He's cut his teeth. Now, he's bad at this job, but I've got respect for the process and the grooming and the experience. Saturday did none of that, got a head coaching job, and now look. I mean, the evidence is pretty clear that he's not the guy. I mean, does the right coach for the job blow the biggest lead in NFL history? Probably not. I'm not going to say for certain, but probably if you're on the losing end of the biggest comeback in NFL history, you're probably not the guy. But now we don't really know what to do with the quarterback situation, and the Colts thing is so stupid. And it's so Jim Irsay, who again got applauded for saying what nobody would say about Dan Snyder. Well, the reason is he's a crackpot. The reason is that he doesn't think before he does things. He's got his own weird Jim Irsay brain, probably a little moldy and dusty from all of the Vicodin that he's taken over the course of his life. I mean, the fact that Jim Irsay said what he said about Dan Snyder, yes, good. Somebody verbalized it. But now even he's backtracking off of that. So we're going to trust this guy's decision-making to fire Reich and then hire Jeff Saturday? It's one of those instances in sports and in life where people wanted to see what they wanted to see. They wanted to see somebody different get a coaching job because so many bad coaches are out there. And I'm not going to deny that there's bad coaching. But seeing Jeff Saturday get the job was not the same as finding guys who are non-traditional for those spots. Because you can find guys who are non-traditional that, actually have done some coaching, That's the difference. You want a guy with a different scheme, a different approach, a different background. Okay. Different ethnicity, that would be good. Different diversity, that would be good. Different perspective, that would be good. Maybe a different age, that'd be good. But what's not good is finding the diversity from a guy that never did anything with the job. I mean, that's not helping anybody. And I just think, Nick Foles now? What are we doing? What exactly is this? This season, for the first time, you can hear every Westwood One NFL broadcast streamed live for free. Mondays, Thursday nights like tonight, Sunday nights, holiday triple headers, every playoff game. Catch all of the action on the Odyssey app, WestwoodOneSports.com, Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. Sponsored by AutoZone. Free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free. Get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone. David's in North Carolina on this Thursday. David, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Look, I want to give a shout-out to you guys. I had a personal tragedy the day after Thanksgiving this year. My fiance was killed by a drunk driver on the way home from work. And you guys have just brought some joy Laughter of my life since then, and I can't thank you guys enough. And I just want to say thank you, Bushies, out to you guys. And I hope all of you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
David, you too, man. I am heartbroken to hear something like that. David in North Carolina has been a regular caller to the show, listener for a long time. And that's heartbreaking. I'll use this opportunity just as a reminder around the holidays. Please be safe, be smart. Don't put other people in harm's way. And for those that could be in pain and for those that could be dealing with something really difficult, reach out to them and make sure they have as good a Christmas, a holiday season, a new year as you can help them do. You know, Dave, for what it's worth, the thing that I like most about this show is that we are a family, a wildly dysfunctional one that consistently snipes with one another and fights with one another and dunks on one another and makes fun of one another. But it is to me, that is the definition of family. My best friends that I have in the world, we clown at each other all of the time. Nobody is immune from being made fun of, but there's an unspoken trust that if something goes wrong, everybody steps up. And I know that about my very best friends. And this is an extension of that for me, this show and the guys that work on this show. And we all have our differences and we all have different personalities. But I know this about everybody that works on this show is that the character of them is obvious. And I say this, Dave, because I think that extends to our listeners as well. I think our listeners approach the show that same way and feel that same bond. And so, Dave, while I'm sure you are feeling very alone in many ways, you have all of us. And we're here every single day, whether you want to call in, tweet in, email, be part of it or not. We are here. I'm here tomorrow. I'm here all of next week. I'm here for you on Twitter. I'm here for you on email. We're all here for you. We are everybody. And anybody that's dealing with loss, tragedy, difficulty, we are here. And we're a constant, and you can come here. And if there's ever a time, Dave, or anybody else, and I say this very honestly, that you just need to talk, just have somebody that you know is kind of a friend because you listen to them on the radio, just call, and whoever picks up the phone will BS with you. I promise. We got great guys behind the glass every single day, whether it's Mraz and Bilotti. You know, today we got Pat Boyle and Carlos with a K, and those guys are great as well. And, you know, I used to do this for little Mo. Mo would call in middle of the night and be like, let me talk to Mo during the commercial break. Go over there and just chat with Mo before he came on the air, after he came on the air, and just BS because it's just fun to talk to somebody like Mo. Dave, you're extended the same invitation. Anybody out there that's dealing with something like Dave, and it doesn't even have to be as significant as what Dave just shared with us, but anybody that needs just to talk, just call up. This is what we do. I mean, I'm sitting here 4 hours a day talking. Not all of it is very good. Some of it hopefully is somewhat okay, but it's always open for you. And if you're just like, hey, can I just talk to DA off the air? Commercial break when I have a moment, no problem. Not a problem at all. So the phone number is 855-212-4227. Write this down, jot it down, put it in your phone. Just be like, hey, if I ever need it, that's what it's here for. 855-212-4227. You know, I have been afforded a great luxury in this life of doing what I love to do, and I like sharing that with everybody. And the bosses are really great in just allowing us to make this the circus that it is. They never tell me like, you know what, DA, like pull it back. Like, do we really need to do poopsie stuff today? Do you really do we have to do that? But they never do this. And that's one of the great liberties that I have in this job. Not everything's perfect, but the freedom here is. And extending the invitations to you guys to be part of this family is what is very important to me. So please, Dave in North Carolina, whatever you need, and anybody else that listen to the show, whatever you need, not only am I here, but we are all here, and the listeners, I know if you need anything, believe me, they got your back. When we come back, Roy Jarrell is going to join us, Steelers Super Bowl champ. He was on the field for the Immaculate Reception. He kicked the extra point after it, I guess. We're going to talk to Roy about the 50th anniversary of that play and the passing of Franco Harris. This is the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Wait, I'm just getting a message that Pete's mad at me. What did I do now?
He's not mad at you. Pete is working very hard on the Stuck in the Chimneys, and we just got 2 given to us by you that weren't previously pulled. So me and him worked through the break to find the dates for them, and then you just referenced that rejoiner as a potential Stuck in the Chimney, and his reaction was to slam his hands.
We got
on the
about
desk.
700 clips to go through this year. 700 clips, and we're adding 700 more.
Oh, my God. Shut up. I gave you 2. You guys can't do that job. It's 2 clips.
Oh, I could do that job.
I gave. No, I got him. I pulled.
So this is now it's another 700 clips, Pete. I gave you 700 clips. I gave you 2 in a G chat, and I said 1 on the air.
No, I'm saying we have a lot of clips this year.
You just said in 700 more. Is this that difficult? Because I can just get Connor to do it in like 5 minutes.
It's not that difficult.
Does Aiden want to do it? I mean, come on. This is the hard work now? Honestly, is this too hard? Because I'll just have somebody else do it.
It's not too hard. It's not too hard.
Is this not our job? Like, am I adding something that shouldn't be to the job? No, let me know.
No, I'm just saying we have a lot of clips this year, a lot of clips that we're going through, and we're trying to sort through which ones we should use.
Well, what's tiresome is saying this is good for the show and then getting a huff and a puff like it's too much. If we can't, just let me do it. If we can't find archived audio of famous moments of the show, I mean, then they're all archived. It's all time-stamped. It's all epic fails. It's 3 clips. 3 clips.
Oh, you got it. You got it. You're right. You're right.
I mean, it's frustrating because then I feel like I can't ask for this.
No, you can ask for anything you want. I will take care of it.
My fault for bringing that up. I thought Pete's reaction, what I thought was more in a funny way than anybody complaining. We pulled the 2 clips, no problem in the break.
That's all.
Well, Pete just said we're going to pull 700 more. What were the 2 that we pulled that I told you?
Just the overtime ending man and the boat trip in Boise.
Which overtime ending man is coming tomorrow.
And that was something the Caps said a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago should be pulled.
Right, and they were pulled, and we've put them together all within that break. It was not that big a deal.
What are they, 10-second clips, 15-second clips? How long are they?
Yeah, 15, 20 seconds, right.
One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Immaculate Reception lands at number 10 because, to this day, it remains clouded in controversy.
We never see the bottom tip of the ball. We never see the bottom half of the ball and whether or not it touches the turf. Franco doesn't give a straight answer.
Did the ball hit the ground before you plucked it out of the air?
I can't say. I saw it from an angle from across the field. The tip of the ball touched the ground.
Did he catch it? Was it a catch? Did it hit anybody? Did it hit the defender? We don't know.
Adding to the confusion was an obscure rule at the time involving Steelers running back Frenchie Fuqua. The rule stated that if a pass was deflected by an offensive player, only that player was eligible to catch the deflected ball, unless the ball is touched by a defensive player at any point. Then any offensive player is eligible to make the reception.
Did it touch him or didn't it touch him? And only he knows. Maybe, maybe not.
Welcome back to CBS Sports Radio, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Damon Amendolara, DA, with you. This weekend, we are celebrating 50 years since the Immaculate Reception, and a member of the 1972 Pittsburgh Steelers squad, the guy that scored the first 6 points of the game for the Steelers, joins us now. He won 3 Super Bowls with Pittsburgh throughout that run of the 70s, was a multi-time Pro Bowler as well. Roy Girella joining us here on the show. Roy, good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much for dropping on by, and we'll get to the Immaculate Reception coming up here, but obviously the news coming down that Franco Harris passed away. It must be gut-wrenching to hear of that news right before what's supposed to be such a celebratory weekend.
Yes, I just thought that this was a celebrity hoax death, and I was very saddened by the truth of the fact, and it hurts very much. But what an amazing guy Franco was as a person, and what a great competitor in football. That he has shown over the years, and all the accolades that he has won over the years, it's very well deserved, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend now, and try our best to get through it.
You were there in 71, the year before the Immaculate Reception, and before the Steelers had ever won a playoff game. They had not been to the postseason since 1947, so it was a long time. When you arrived in 71, did you sense it was a roster and a coaching staff and a franchise on the ascent, or was that still too far in the future?
No, I just thought that when I got there, number one, I was just trying to get a position there, and which I did, and things developed for me in a short period of time. But I just saw and felt the enthusiasm amongst the players and the young guys coming in like myself, and eager to win, and everybody left college programs where they won a lot, and this wasn't going to be any different. And after we got a few more good draft picks and some good free agents, we made it happen, and the rest is history.
Former Pittsburgh Steelers kicker Roy Girella, our guest. So you get to 72, And finally, the Steelers are in the playoffs, and you guys are still a young squad, but you're taking on the Raiders. The Raiders had been to the Super Bowl a couple of years earlier. The Raiders were obviously one of the winningest teams in the league. Was there already a rivalry with Oakland when you faced them in the 72 playoffs, or was that still to come?
I think that was still to come, but a rivalry was struck, I think, when the game was being played, and only holding the Raiders to 7 points, with us still in the ball game. I think woke the Raiders up a little bit and said, "Hey, these guys are pretty good." But I think rivalry started to take place just shortly before the playoff, and which we won on Frankel's catch and run, and I think it still exists today.
It was a nasty defense that the Raiders had. It was tough sledding the entire day on both defenses. Again, you had accounted for the only points of the day up until the Immaculate Reception on 2 field goals. What do you remember about the day, the weather, the feeling, the emotion in that building at Three River Stadium?
Well, the emotion was high. There was a lot of emotion and a lot of excitement amongst the players and the fans, and you don't really feel cold in that real cold weather. It was you ignored all the conditions of the field and whatever atmospheric elements or that may hinder the kicking part of the game, but you just went ahead and did your best you can and with the slippery turf and let it go and just and the best guy wins, I guess, and that's the way we played. We just played. We winged everything, and I think that helped us. And I think by taking it to them, I think really showed the guys that, hey, we have arrived. And I think shortly after that, we won the Super Bowl that year. Mr. Rooney says that, hey, we can keep on winning and winning for the next 10 years. We're so young, and that's just what happened.
It was the 72 AFC divisional round playoff game against the Raiders that you guys would win. It would take 2 more years before you won the Super Bowl in 1974. But in that game, 2 minutes to play, Ken Stabler goes in from 30 yards out. You guys had a 6-0 lead on your 2 field goals. Then suddenly you trail 7-6 with a minute and a half to play. That's when on 4th and 10, Bradshaw uncorks the pass with 22 seconds to play. This is the final Hail Mary of the day, and it deflects off of somebody and into Franco Harris's arms. Where were you on the sideline? What was your vantage point of the collision and the catch by Franco?
Okay, there's before that play, Coach Noel called the field goal team over and told us to go to the far end of the field, just in case that we're going to throw the ball. If there's a catch, the field goal team must run on the field and try a field goal, because that's going to be our last chance. Bobby Walden, the punter, and I we were right on about the 25-yard line. And I think that's close to where Franco caught the ball. And when he caught the ball, we clearly saw daylight between the ground and Franco's hands, and that was a clean catch. And it was a kind of a shoestring catch. And if you look at the film very closely, you can see that when Franco caught it, he caught it mainly with the ends of his fingers. And then he reeled the ball in towards the palm of his hands. Then he stumbled a step or two, and then he turned on the gas and outran everybody. The Raiders were walking off the field thinking that the game was over and the pass was incomplete. And Franco just outran everybody down the sideline. And when he got to about the 10-yard line, he was fading going towards the out-of-bounds area, but yet people thought that he may have stepped out of bounds. But we clearly saw from the sideline there was a nice patch of green between Franco's foot and the white out of bounds.
An amazing play, voted as the #1 play in NFL history. Mike Tomlin called it the most significant play in NFL history. You guys would win that game on that play. and then end up in the AFC Championship game where ultimately you would lose to the perfect Miami Dolphins, but it set the tone for the rest of the 70s. How did that game and that moment carry over to your Super Bowl wins?
Well, because we're so young, and we all kind of looked at each other and said, hey, we got a pretty damn good team here, and if we just keep on playing like we are with a few more good draft choices, we're gonna be very tough to beat, and we just believed in ourselves, and being so young, we never let the older players that we played against try to psych you out in any way, shape, or form, and we just went ahead and when you're young like that, you play kind of balls out and then let things fall in place where they should.
Roy Gerela won 3 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers, went to the Pro Bowl a couple of times, and was the place kicker in 72 when the Immaculate Reception happened. We are celebrating 50 years of it coming up this weekend. Should be fun to have the Raiders back in the house, huh?
It will be very exciting, and but yet I think Franco's passing may take over in some way, shape, or form, and saying goodbye to a great player, great friend, and a great man is gonna be the toughest part. But I think the game will be filled with a lot of excitement, a lot of adrenaline, and the players on the field for the Steelers are gonna see it through and hopefully win this game.
Heavy hearts in Pittsburgh, certainly for the Steelers family and the city in general, as Franco passes away right before the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Roy, it was great to go down memory lane with you. Thanks so much, and I hope that you have a great weekend in Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well. 3-time Super Bowl winner Roy Gerela, kicker with those 70 Steelers teams, joining us for the winning side of the Immaculate Reception. Tomorrow marks 50 years since the most significant play, arguably, in NFL history. Next hour, we'll talk to Phil Villapiano, who's going to join us from the Raiders side of things, and he's always a character. That should be a lot of fun. It's a Thirsty Thursday, so let's toast to some of the good stuff, shall we? Michael's in Boise, better known as Bouncing Baby Boy on Twitter. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, DA. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. I'd like to start off by giving my condolences to David, man. That's a horrible, horrible thing to experience.
Yeah.
I really have no words to really solidify that one. But I just wanted to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you for all the wonderful hours of entertainment you provide me every morning.
Man, appreciate you saying that. No problem. Best to you as well, Michael. Thanks, man, and happy holidays back at you.
Booskies!
David in North Carolina shared with us before last commercial break, last segment, that his fiance was killed by a drunk driver on Thanksgiving or right around Thanksgiving. And so he was pretty emotional, understandably, about it, but called up to say thank you for just being here for laughs every single morning. And obviously that's the least we can do. But after I said my piece about us being kind of a family around here and the listeners being part of that bond, a lot of listeners have reached out and said, if David, you need anything, they're all here for you as well. So I didn't doubt that it would happen. I didn't expect anything else, but the D-Aliens are amazing. Roger's in Oklahoma this morning here on the show. Raj, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I just wanted to call and say thank you. Sorry about all this, and thank you for being there, for reaching out, for letting people know, man. They got a place if they need one. That's together we can, man. I really firmly believe that, and I thank you for using your voice and your platform for that.
I believe in that too, Raj, and I appreciate you saying that. I believe in that. I came from a house that talked a lot, as you might imagine, talked through a lot of things. My mom always said, you can't bury that. We got to talk through this. And so if you had a problem with somebody in the family, you talk through it. If you needed help, you talk through it, and just you expressed yourself and talked. And so it's second nature for me, but I know that a lot of people, it's not as easy, and know that that first step of just reaching out, it's not an annoyance. It's not you're putting anybody out. You're not. It's easy for the other person to be there and to listen. And so, if you need it, we're here. And as I said before, for David or anybody else that just needs to talk, you just dial us up and talk to anybody on the other side of the glass that answers the phones. Or if you're like, hey, I got to talk to DA during the commercial break, like that's not a problem. Just call up and as I said, I did that with Little Mo quite a bit, and I cherish those conversations. So it's never too much. Don't feel like you're putting anybody out or whatever, and it could be anything, honestly. Dalton's next up in Topeka this morning here on the show. Dalton, good morning.
Hey, DA, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I just wanted to kind of touch up on what everybody else is, man. Boosties to you guys, because honestly, last year my ex-wife took my son away from me, and I haven't seen him in over a year. I was going through a clinically depressed time, and that was the time in which I discovered your guys' show. And honestly, just listening to you guys and having the ability to just laugh and get some entertainment, it really took my mind off of things. You guys really don't know what you do for people. Like, I never thought I would love people that I've never met so much until y'all, enough to send y'all Christmas gifts. Marash, I was the one to send you the dude wipes and underwear. You're lucky. You're lucky. You're welcome. Fear no oopsies, my friend. I just wanted to let you guys know that we appreciate y'all so much out here.
That's really kind of you, Dalton. Thank you very, very much. Sure, Merez, thanks you very much for dude wipes and underwear as well. And I'm sorry to hear about your son, but life is weird, man. There's always ups and downs. Nobody has this upward trajectory no matter what. It feels that way looking on social media, that everybody just always has it so good all the time. And you start wondering, well, why don't I have it good all the time? And why is there a dip here, or frustration there, or a death here, or a sickness, or an ailment, or money problems, or something? And it's important to remind yourself that there's always ups and downs, and that even if you feel up right now, there's going to be a down. If you feel down right now, there's going to be an up, and that the key is just moving forward, because eventually you get to that next juncture in your life. And as devastating as things can feel, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and have a reason to wake up every day, it's sometimes just good enough. So if one of the reasons is, hey, I get to laugh in the morning for a couple of hours when you listen to the show or on the way to work, whatever, that's the absolute least we can do. And I appreciate you saying that and expressing that, because truly those are the things that do mean quite a bit to me. Standing by with headlines this morning, kind sir, Andrew Bogish. AB, what do we got?
DA, we've got the New York Rangers, who might be better at basketball than the Warriors right now. The Dubs might not even make the G League postseason right now. They finished up a 1-5 road trip with a 143-113 dud in Brooklyn last night, 24 hours after a 38-point rout at the hands of the Knicks. Head coach Steve Kerr.
Right now we're at that point that pretty much everybody goes through during an 82-game season, most teams anyway, where you sort of hit rock bottom and, injuries, whatever it is, schedule, fatigue, you take it on the chin.
Last night, the Nets led 46-17 after the first quarter and 91-51 at halftime. Kevin Durant had 23 for Brooklyn, who has now won 7 in a row. The Celtics are definitely not the Warriors, but they are slumping right now, falling into a 30-point first-half hole, then losing to the Pacers last night, 117-112. Joe Mazzulla's team has dropped 5 of 6.
I don't know why we would come out in the first half like that, but we did. And so we had a choice to make, and we made a choice to be better, and we have to find a way to just, not have that anymore.
The Pacers got 33 points and 8 assists from Tyrese Halliburton. Luka Doncic had 25 and 10, and the Mavs 104-99 win in Minnesota. The Raptors snapped the Knicks' 8-game run, 113-106, with Pascal Siakam scoring a career-high 52. The Cavs down the Bucks 114-106 despite 45 from Giannis, and the Sixers beat the Pistons 113-93 for a 6-game win streak. We've already mentioned Eastern Illinois, 31.5-point underdog, winning at Iowa last night. Now, how about Cal? The Bears were 0-12, but beat UT Arlington last night, 73-51. Cal, the last men's D1 team to get a win this season.
Wow.
Inside the top 25, number 1, Purdue's 12-0 after a 74-53 decision over New Orleans. Third-ranked Houston took care of McNeese, 83-44. And number 19, Kentucky downed FAMU, 88-68. Oscar Tshiebwe, 14 points and 8 boards. You might have forgotten that the Pro Bowl is now a flag football game.
Yeah.
Rosters announced last night for the February 5th affair in Vegas. The Eagles have 8 reps, including Jalen Hurts, who did not practice yesterday because of that shoulder injury. The Cowboys and Chiefs are next with 7 Pro Bowlers apiece. You'll be shocked to hear that Shedeur Sanders is joining his dad at Colorado, as is his teammate from Jackson State, cornerback/receiver Travis Hunter. He's the player who flipped from Florida State to sign with Deion last November. In hockey last night, 2 6-game losing streaks ended. The Devils won in Florida 4-2, and the Red Wings outscored the Lightning 7-4. And now, stunned.
Woohoo!
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't take much to surprise this bouncing baby boy.
This is honestly the most stunned I have ever been on the show to a news.
The DA show is stunned to a news.
I am asking for trouble, bringing this one up in front of Pat Boyle.
Yeah, baby.
Sure are.
It'd be super cool if this did not need to be said. I do understand that the holidays are a stressful time. You need a release more than usual, but there are safer ways to accomplish that. Dr. Sarah Welsh in the UK had to go online and post this advice after seeing too many troubling cases. There is no reason to include Christmas ornaments in any of your naughty behavior, whether you're on your own or with your partner. Ornaments can break and injure you, and don't use any treats either, even ones that seem biologically feasible like candy canes, because you shouldn't put sugar into your private parts. This concludes my TED Talk.
Now, hold on.
Oh, you sure? Yeah, please.
Hey, Pat,
the rebuttal.
Do you have a take or a question on this?
I'm trying to phrase this.
Yes, please. Please be careful.
So, candy cane in one spot, definitely shouldn't do it. Candy cane in another spot.
You think could be advantageous?
Yeah, for sure.
Because of the next person into the space?
It makes it... It would make it taste better.
Why?
And Pete just died.
Because I know I saw. I don't know if this was real. I saw an X-ray
of the candy cane.
Yes,
but hook end first, which is that's not a good decision.
Why the hook in?
Yeah, the choice there, the hook in first, is a worse decision than Jacoby Myers on that lateral.
What could top this? Candy cane, hook first.
The real hook and lateral.
I guess if you're looking for some kind of stimulation, but yeah, not a good idea.
No.
Do we have to dump hand gestures? Because Pat just made a hand gesture that seemed to be important. Good.
No. The best part is we should just let everybody know that if you watch the show,
Boyle's doing it right now. No, never mind.
That version of the show is a little bit more crude.
I was disgustingly off.
A little bit more raw.
Yeah.
And outside of the candy cane, I mean, what else could you be? What else could you be using?
Yeah, what else?
Oh, that's a good new tagline for the non-radio portion of the show. It's the hook end first is on Twitch or on YouTube.
The real hook and lateral.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, aside from candy cane, I don't know. Well, I guess little ornaments.
There's another story making the rounds of an older gentleman who had a World War I era ammunition in there that went to the hospital, leading to a bomb scare.
I'm not sure that that's holiday related, though.
But my point is, you're applying logic to a situation where others do not. They're putting none of these things should be involved.
Yeah.
So whether it's a Christmas cookie, a gingerbread house, or a candy cane, they should all be left alone.
Yeah, but ornaments, those they're usually pretty sharp and fragile and can break easily.
Yeah, don't do that.
Right.
The star, the tree topper, you're going to start playing around with that?
No.
You need some fragile edges.
Maybe little snowmen.
And Pete told me that if you just Google it, if you just Google these things, you can find ones that mimic snowmen, but they're specifically designed for your naughty intentions, so you're doing it safely.
Do you want the snowman's head first? Carrot or no carrot?
Again, this is what Pete told me. I don't know if it's true or not, but he's never steered me wrong.
In my house, we celebrate Three Kings Day, so that's brutal. Just not that way.
2, 3
kings.
3 kings.
To get to the center of Carlos.
When we come back on the show, it's a boo ha ha. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
So in New York, the franchise is sinking. The team is terrible. The coach is a bozo. The players have quit. And it doesn't feel like it's going to get any better anytime soon. Now you have a report that the Giants players, multiple Giants players, have called out Ben McAdoo, how he's lost the locker room, he's lost the team, he's in it for himself. Which is hysterical because remember that soundbite that we kept playing last week? Ben McAdoo insists that he's the beacon of light.
Ron, I'm the beacon of light and I'm the beacon of hope.
This guy is the beacon of light and the beacon of hope. So why would any player not want to play for him? Blinded by the light, Ben McAdoo's the beacon of that light.
Ron, I'm the beacon of light and I'm the beacon of hope.
Second down and goal from the 4. Goff is under center, strong right. All alone for the touchdown for the Rams score. Came in with no touchdowns. Today he has 2.
That's what I'm going to do myself. I'm going to lead by example. Keep playing, keep fighting, keep coaching.
Ron, I'm the beacon of light and I'm the beacon of hope.
Goff again, who leads out to his right. Sammy Watkins, 5 yards beyond the defense, and strolls in for a bomb of a touchdown.
Excuse me, Mike.
No problem. We're talking with Ben McAdoo. He's just going to take a drink for a second. He's got a little frog in his throat.
Ron, I'm the beacon of light and I'm the beacon of hope.
35-30. Robert Woods, first down 20. Touchdown, LA on 3rd down and 33.
No, the team didn't quit today.
What did you think of the effort?
They were playing hard.
Ron, I'm the beacon of light and I'm the beacon of hope. Ron, I'm the beacon of light and I'm the beacon of hope.
No, the team didn't quit today. They were playing hard.
She's gonna make it to the night. She's gonna make it.
Morale.
Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
There's more than 40 bowl games. The DA Show is picking them all. R.I.P. the Red Box Bowl. On the line, the most valuable prize known to man. Beer. DA, Mraz, and Bogusch in a winner-take-all. It's the brouhaha.
So you're the little lady who started this great brouhaha.
Yeah, real brouhaha.
You know what these things can be like.
Quite a brouhaha.
All right, last night, Mraz was the lone winner. Western Kentucky versus South Alabama. Western Kentucky with the upset victory, actually led by 3 touchdowns at one point in time. Mraz only bet 1 beer on the Hilltoppers, but now moves to plus 17. I bet 4 beers on South Alabama's Jaguars, and I fall to negative 3 beers. And Bogusch is having a tough go at it so far. He bet 6 beers last night on the Jaguars, and that means he's now at negative 12 beers. So we've got some ground to make up here tonight. The Armed Forces Bowl is where we get right, Bogusch and I. It's Baylor and Air Force, played in Fort Worth, Texas. Baylor is a 3.5-point favorite. Baylor's been a 500 team this year. Air Force looking for its 10th win. I don't have Mraz's pick yet, I don't think. It hasn't come in yet. So I'm going to go to you first, Bogues. Who do you like?
Yeah, quick reminder, I was supposed to quit before this brouhaha coming off of last year, so I'm really regretting my decision to not quit the show at this point. I got nothing left. South Alabama should have won by a lot of points last night, and they did you and I dirty. As we said off the air, we got the hook end at the candy cane last night. I'm licking my wounds here. Just 1 beer. Can't fall any farther behind. I'm putting 1 beer on Air Force. This pick's for America, patriotism, hoorah, Semper Fi, whatever. Go just
I think those are the Marines.
Those are totally Marines.
I know. I'm just doing it. What's
Go Air Force's thing?
Just give me
the Air Force saying.
Give me a fly
I don't know.
high,
I called them the sheriff.
Wild Blue Yonder,
Fly
whatever. Top Gun me.
Yeah.
Just either win outright or lose by the correct amount of points, Air
That's
Force.
right. Top Gun me. The Air Force Falcons.
Hoorah.
Totally Navy.
For the record, Air Force leads the FBS with 330 rushing yards per game. Baylor ranks 44th overall in yards given up on the ground. So I like Air Force the same way that Bogues does, plus the 3.5. Even though this game is in Fort Worth, which means far more fans, I assume, from Baylor will be there, but an underwhelming Baylor season. So I'm going to say that Air Force covers the plus 3.5 number.
This game started at plus 8.5 and has been bet down to this number. Did I say that correctly?
It was
Air Force was really getting 8.5 when the initial line of this game, and now it's only 3.5.
Man, defection, transfer portal, who knows?
Yeah.
When we come back here on the show, Phil Villapiano on the Raiders side of the Immaculate Reception.
You're in a 5-minute
It's much
break.
darker.
It looks sweaty.
It looks sweaty and much darker. Now, some of that must be the barbecue sauce that's on there, but
I hope so.
It looks more blackened than anything.
Yeah, it looks like a pot of mussels.
Yeah. So, would you want a wing, a leg, or the breast?
Breast.
Okay.
I'm not messing with the wing or the leg. I'll do a breast.
Okay. Well,
Fork and knife.
What kind of hot sauce, barbecue sauce we got here? Just some basic everyday stuff.
I don't know how to find the breast in this.
That thing looks all right.
This thing?
Yeah, that thing.
Okay.
Is that
all right?
That little drumstick?
That's a little something. Let me just hold this up.
Oh, dear Lord God.
And the thing is,
why is it dripping?
That our guy left the feet on the bottom of it.
Oh, whoa.
If you notice,
Torg, what's up, bro?
Torg Bellinger. This is like the leg meat, but there's a foot on the bottom of it. So if you want to just nibble on that,
yeah, that's all natural right there. Can I get a fork and knife on?
Yeah,
I'm not getting my fingers.
I can get you some breast too in here. So here goes Brock as he's digging in. It's kind of blackened. Oh, do you need some barbecue sauce on the side?
No, I'm gonna go straight up.
Okay, nice job by Brock. Okay, so here we go. He's got it on his fork. It's kind of shredded. It's kind of looks kind of smoky.
Doesn't smell awful.
No.
It's kind of gray.
It is kind of
supposed to be gray. I don't know if this looks up to par here, but here goes nothing.
It's in his mouth. Chewing it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't taste like anything. Like it's just the barbecue sauce. You get a little hint of that. It's nice and tender, though. You did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
I was worried about it being super tough. You killed the cook game here.
Okay, good.
I'll go back in for a second.
All right, nice. Nice job, Brock.
We'll do it up here.
Okay. I mean, he's eating a piece that has the foot on it.
Torg, do better.
Torg, be better, Torg. Torg Bellinger, be better. It's falling apart. It's like a
slow cooked.
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's all dark meat, by the way. There is no white meat on this bird. No. It's going back for a second bite, chewing it.
That one's a little gummier.
Little gummier.
A little gummier.
Oh, no.
That's a little toothsome, as they say.
Toothsome.
Very yeah, that's good.
Well done, Brock. Well done. There you go. Mraz, would you want to partake?
Come try a bite. You're all right, Chief. You've eaten worse.
I'll try a bite. I mean,
all right.
Brock is paid.
His reaction wasn't brutal, so I'll try a bite.
Yeah.
It's not the taste. There's no taste to it, like in the sense that it's not super gamey or anything. It's just bizarre.
So I'm going to hold up the wing. I mean, this is how you know it's like a little fence bird. It's like this wing.
Fence bird.
This wing looks disheveled and scrawny and disgusting.
Do we know if Tor gave it its rabies shot before he sent it down to us? I meant to ask that before I took some bites.
Okay, here comes Mraz. He's gonna cut off a little.
I'm not going big bite here. You're right about the gray meat. That's a little alarming.
It's gray.
You know what, Brock? I'm already eating crow. I'm using your fork.
Okay, Mraz is putting a little bit in his mouth.
All right. That's not bad.
Really?
It's not bad.
Really?
I've had worse.
I could order that.
You could order that?
I'm stunned.
Brock is saying, no, I would not order that. It's much darker.
It looks sweaty.
It looks sweaty and much darker. Now, some of that must be the barbecue sauce that's on there, but
I hope so.
It looks more blackened than anything.
Yeah, it looks like a pot of mussels.
Yeah. So, would you want a wing, a leg, or the breast?
Breast.
Okay.
I'm not messing with the wing or the leg. I'll do a breast.
Okay. Well,
fork and knife. What kind of hot sauce, barbecue sauce we got here? Just some basic everyday stuff.
I don't know how to find the breast in this.
That thing looks all right.
This thing?
Yeah, that thing.
Okay.
Is that
all right?
That little drumstick?
That's a little something. Let me just hold this up.
Oh, dear Lord God.
And the thing is,
why is it dripping?
That our guy left the feet on the bottom of it.
Oh, whoa.
If you notice,
Torg, what's up, bro?
Torg Bellinger. This is like the leg meat, but there's a foot on the bottom of it. So if you want to just nibble on that.
Yeah, that's all natural right there. Can I get a fork and knife on?
Yeah.
I'm not getting my fingers.
I can get you some breast too in here. So here goes Brock as he's digging in. It's kind of blackened. Oh, do you need some barbecue sauce on the side?
No, I'm going to go straight up.
Okay, nice job by Brock. Okay, so here we go. He's got it on his fork. It's kind of shredded. It's kind of coming to...
Good morning!
Morning, DA. How are you?
CBS Sports Radio.
What's up, the anchor? Mission to enter the mothership, brother.
Ever heard a sports talk show like this before? Didn't think so.
What's going on, Dirty?
It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
DA, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling great.
I'm doing great.
Happy Thursday, boys and girls. One question only. How do you feel?
Well, I feel good, and I'm doing well.
That's all that really matters. And we come to you live from the Rocket Mortgage Studios. Need to know what it takes for a home to fit your budget and your family? Rocket can. Tomorrow marks 50 years since the greatest play in NFL history happened, the Immaculate Reception.
Immediately after the play, I started to look for Art McNally to issue a protest because what I called a double tap, that it hit Fuqua and then went to Franco, and it would have been illegal.
They may be contending, Scotty, that it touched the intended receiver. It is illegal, of course, should a pass hit one offensive man and then go directly to another.
I remember Jack Tatum telling me, "You touched that damn ball." Tell him, Frenchie, you touched that damn ball. And you know what? I almost said, "Yeah, Jack, I touched it." But being the cool Frenchman I was, I told him, "I never tell."
We may seem some sort of a momentous decision here. I'm surprised they're even in a huddle at this point. They are telling both Steeler and Raider players to get away. Absolute pandemonium is reigning.
The referee, after 5 or 10 minutes, still hasn't called anything. He goes over to the baseball dugout and gets on the phone and talks to someone.
I see Dan Rooney standing with McNally, and they're on a phone, and they were calling down to the field. And I knew that Denny had gotten there first.
There's still a huge discussion going on down in the end zone. Enraged fans, fearing that the touchdown might be disallowed, are out on the sidelines. There is a very, very tough security situation here.
The people just kept coming out of the stands. They weren't ever going to get those people off the field.
This place would erupt into a literal riot if they were to disallow the touchdown.
One of the officials went to the booth and talked to the person upstairs and told him that, well, if you want to get out here alive, you better let Pittsburgh win.
Instead of questioning the player, trying to get the play right, they wanted to know how much security did they have.
Ultimately, they pretty much forced to make that call.
When they came out of the dugout, they signaled touchdown.
That was it. When the guy said that, everyone came running on the field and the game was over.
The fans swarming along the sideline. The Raiders have 5 seconds, and they're 80 yards from Tater. Stabler back to pass against a prevent defense, throws a long bomb upfield. Chester in the middle of a pack of them. The ball batted up in the air and dropped. And there is no time. There is the gun sounding the end of the game. And fans pour onto the field. The final score, the Pittsburgh Steelers 13, the Oakland Raiders 7.
The one referee left the field and then came back on and made the call. Well, we didn't have that stuff then. That was the most disappointing thing to me, that the guy didn't have enough balls to stay out on the field and make the call. Then you felt like you really got screwed.
That's from an NFL film's Immaculate Reception of Football Life. One of the voices you heard in there was Phil Villapiano, former Pro Bowl linebacker of the Oakland Raiders in 1972, on the field at that game, Three River Stadium. Joining us this morning on the show is Phil. Phil, good morning. I'm sorry I had to introduce you with that.
Well, Damon, it's nuts, but we have to hear it again and again and again. And it was just absolutely crazy. And if for the people that weren't there, you just couldn't believe what was going on. And like everybody said, how can you not make a call and then 10 minutes later make a call? And all that crazy stuff, but there was no instant replay. And matter of fact, Damon, I'm on the field. I'm covering Franco on the play. I mean, I saw everything that went on, and I'm like, well, I think we just lost this game. And Madden's going crazy, and I didn't even know why he was yelling and screaming. And who even knew that you were not allowed to go offense to offense? I don't even think the referees ever made that call. So, that I think that was their problem. They didn't know the call, and Madden knew it, but John Madden in those days, he was like a Brahma bull, and screaming and yelling all the time. I don't think they wanted to hear him. It was a whole series of craziness, and how they won is incredible. And, and Damon, what happened with the Franco situation, I'm in Pittsburgh right now, and I feel so horrible for Franco, and I'm so happy he caught that ball and went on to have, these 50 years of unbelievable greatness in his life and all the beautiful things he did for this town. I got here last night, and the cab driver was almost crying, and he told us that the whole city's in mourning. Oh man, this is absolutely nuts.
You became very close with Franco Harris, and of course Franco passed away the other day. So, what was your relationship and friendship like with Franco?
We did it over the last 50 years. Let's just say, Damon, this is how it started, and I think this is really good. How you start a friendship. And I win the Italian-American Player of the Year in 1971, and Franco Harris wins it in 1972. So my parents went to Trenton, New Jersey, big Italian area. And, my father just had a beautiful day that day. And so the next year, I'm in California, but Franco and his mother and father go. And the only guy in the whole place, my parents went back because they loved it so much. So the only guy in the whole place that could speak Mrs. Harris's dialect is my father.
Wow.
So, they both came from Naples, right outside of Naples, and they had the greatest time, and my father was like the interpreter and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, Franco gets his award, and the next time I run into Franco, he says, "Hey, I just want you to know your father and my mother love each other." I'm like, wow, what happened? Then I had to call home and ask my father about that. And he said, "Oh, yes, Philip, we had such a wonderful time." So anyway, as much as Franco and I hated each other on the football field, we had this little bond between us. And then we played I think we did 4 Pro Bowls in a row together, and we got closer and closer. Matter of fact, by the time the whole thing was over, I didn't even want to tackle him anymore because he was my friend. Huh. And then over the years, when he needed something, Franco does so much charity work, and I did the same thing in New Jersey and California. He did it here in Pittsburgh, and we would call on each other to, show up, and every time we went into our immaculate reception story, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Matter of fact, I couldn't wait to get here today because we were going to have this event tonight, and it was going to be a questions and answers from the public, and there was going to be a panel, and everybody was going to talk about the immaculate reception. And I made up some more dirt for tonight, and I was going to unleash it on Pittsburgh, but now I don't even know if we're going to do anything. It's such a shame, but. Yeah, the play will go on and on and on forever, and I'm glad I was involved in it, win or lose.
Frank Villapiano joins us this morning. Phil Villapiano joins us this morning here on the show, and Phil was Pro Bowl linebacker for the Raiders teams, and including that team in '72. And as he said, he was part of that play, the Immaculate Reception. Do you believe the officials went to the sideline and called to see how much security they could get to call it incomplete, and then realized they don't have enough? And that they worried about that and said, you know what, touchdown Pittsburgh?
I don't know, but it certainly makes sense. And you know what it reminded me? I never saw anything like this. But when those guys were coming over the wall onto the field, there was no stopping. It was thousands of people jumping over the wall, coming down on the field. For a couple seconds there, I said to myself, I better get over by our bench, so at least I'm around my Raider buddies, because I was just kind of wandering around out there, wondering what they were going to call. And reminded me a bit of what January 6th down in Washington, D.C., when all those people stormed the Capitol. It was as scary as that. I mean, people don't care. It's a mob scene. And it just grows, and it gets louder and louder, and nobody even knows why, but that's how people are. When I saw that, what happened in Washington, I said to myself and my kids, and I was like, this reminds me of the Immaculate Reception. There was no control. So to answer your question, Damon, I think they did do that. And I think they had to do that because they would have never got that stadium back under control. And for the good of the NFL, I think they made that call, which, pretty much looks like it was the right call.
Okay, so there's a former Raider admitting it looks like it was the right call, huh?
I said it looks like it was the right call. Don't overdo it now, Damon. Just because I'm in Pittsburgh, I'm not admitting anything. And we got Frenchie Fuqua over here who can't remember anything, and he's going to tell everybody when he goes to heaven.
Boy, Frenchie is really milking this for everything it's worth, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you know, I can't believe, I remember when Ray Mansfield was alive, and we had an NFL alumni golf tournament out at, Oak Brook or Oak, the real nice course you got out there. So anyway, he said, Phil, can you get me 10 Raiders? And I'm going to bring 10 Steelers, and, so we're going to have 24 Sims. We're going to make a whole lot of money. I said, no problem, Ray. So I bought 10 best Raider golfers that would come to Pittsburgh, So we show up, and we go out there in our silver and black, and Ray Mansfield puts us with the 10 worst groups that he could possibly find. So when at the end of the day, it was the top 10 teams were all Pittsburgh, and the bottom 10 teams were all Raider players. Like, it never ends. It's always who can screw who in a nice way. so Ray pulled that one off, and I remember we had another crazy day here in Pittsburgh. You had a flag football game, Raiders versus Steelers, and I'm out on the field, and I don't know what I was doing, and Ray grabs the back of my little shorts and rips them off. I'm on the field with a jockstrap on. What are you doing, man? Everything to screw with the Raiders. So ever since that play in December 23rd, 1972, the Raiders and the Steelers were after each other. And Damon, I have to tell you, one of the most funniest, serious things that ever happened was when Chuck Noll accused the Raiders of criminal element in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, you look at your Steeler team. You guys were probably worse than us, but we were bad. But you were worse, I think, with Mean Joe Green and L.C. Green. Your defense was nasty, but we were a little nasty too. So anyway, we get sued, and we all have to go to San Francisco for because Chuck Noll is calling us a criminal element. Al Davis has got Willie Brown, who is the most active, outrageous lawyer in all of California, as our lawyer, and we all go in there, and it was Chuck Noll tries to accuse us of the criminal element. And the judge says, excuse me, Mr. Noll, I think we got to throw this at him because you guys seem to be worse than those guys. It was nuts. It was so fun. We went outside. We got on the bus. We opened up these beers. We had a big bus right outside of the courthouse. That was like our party center during the trial. And we went in there, and we were laughing so hard. Matter of fact, I didn't know where the Steelers. They must have went out another door because they would have come on and had beers with us because it was a joke. But that's the way it was in those days. since that immaculate reception, anything the Steelers could do to hurt the Raiders and anything the Raiders could do to hurt the Steelers, that's the way it went, and that's how we developed that tremendous rivalry, which we got going.
Phil Villapiano was a Pro Bowl linebacker for those Raiders teams. He was on the field for that immaculate reception. I know that you lost a dear friend in Franco Harris passing this week, but I would say the bright side is if you were going to mourn, you get to mourn with all of your friends and all of those former Steelers and Raiders that are back around for the immaculate reception. If it had happened now, at least you get to be around friends and family coming up this weekend for all those ceremonies.
Damon, that's so true, and yeah, I can't wait to see the guys. I can't, we have a ton of events planned starting today, but I'm not sure, we can't pull off the Franco. Mike Ciani from the Raiders is coming to town, and we're going to induct him into the Italian Army. And I said we are because they put me in the Army when we had the 40th anniversary of this, the Immaculate Reception. So I couldn't wait to get Mike inducted this afternoon, but I doubt we'll do things like that, But we will. I'm sure we're all going to sit down and I want to turn this into a celebration for Franco. We got tons of guys in town. Let's all tell Franco stories, and just like me and you right now, Damon, we should tell Franco stories and have a good time. And he was a beautiful guy. We can't bring him back, so let's just celebrate him. And we'll all miss him forever, but let's remember how great of a person he was.
It's a great attitude and a great idea. Phil, I always love our conversations, man. I cherish them very much. You have a wonderful time this week with all those guys. I can't wait to watch how everything kind of comes together.
Yeah, Damon, it'll be cool. So I hope to see you somewhere around town.
All right, thanks so much.
We'll have a beer and we'll have a toast for my buddy Franco.
Okay. Phil Villapiano joining us this morning here on the show. Great stuff from Phil, and some nice words about Franco. He was very, very close with Franco, so it's cool to have him on today. Thursday Night Football preview sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. AFC Showdown tonight, playoff implications, Jets and Jaguars. Jacksonville, a game behind the Titans in the AFC South, but are chasing their tails, and they'll play each other in the final regular season game. The Jets are a 1.5-point favorite at home on FanDuel. I would love to be out in Pittsburgh this weekend. That would have been awesome, but I am back here in New York for the holiday, and we are cruising right along on a Thursday edition of the DA. When we come back here on the show, we coronate number one, the top spot, the most memorable moment of the DA show's year. Number one of the 12 DAs of Christmas. You've made it. It's next, DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
For the original bowl-shaped trophy, he planned to present the cup annually to the champion hockey team of the Dominion of Canada, honoring his time as Canada's Governor-General. All right, now fast forward 130 years. Sorry, Lord Stanley, but for the 29th straight year, the Stanley Cup champion will come from USA, USA, USA. Things started to snowball early as the Colorado Avalanche pelted 2 ice missiles into the net in the first 10 minutes. Your player of the night was the one who got the party started. It was the captain guiding the ship through the fog as Gabriel Landeskog channeled his inner bulldog.
Now Bowen Pryor on the breakout.
Landeskog, the Swede, gave Vasilevsky Stockholm Syndrome as he made him a prisoner of his own net. Then 90 seconds later, Valeri Nichushkin got on the tracks and choo-chooed his way to lamplighting glory. However, just like the Rangers found out, that's right, Mraz, another shot at the Rangers. How's the golf course? Your goal of the night comes from Andrei Burakovsky. Sing us a song. You're the overtime ending man. Burakovsky, channeling his inner Dostoevsky, he said to the fans and the lamp behind the goal, "Let's get lit!"
Another bouncing puck.
Well, we can only hope that somebody does blow a 3-1 lead in this series and gives us a Game 7 for Lord Stanley's Cup, because maybe then Pat Boyle will have one more chance to do a Canadian Bacon this year. But for now, Lord Stanley's Cup glimmers and shines in all of its glory, waiting for another champion to grab hold and etch their name into history. And that is your Canadian Bacon.
Standing ovation. Standing ovation.
For the original bowl-shaped trophy, he planned
much more. Visit Lowe's.com. Yeah. So, just to reestablish the rules this year.
Holy fucking shit, Buddy! Finally with a fucking opener! Holy God! Let's fucking go!
Or lose with promo code.
One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. The 12 DAs of Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
Somebody screwed me here!
Who can trust you?
Somebody screwed me! I look like a fool now! I don't want to look like a fool!
Me neither.
Why are we not focused on that instead what power sounds like? Why am I doing this? Why am I typing a script like this?
What evidence do you have that you have the stick handling, skating ability, balance, speed, or agility of Pavel Bure? What evidence?
I don't have evidence.
Okay.
I'm so done with it. I'm done with the whole thing. I'm done with working 500 hours a day. I'm really over it. I want to win Powerball. I want to get something out of this whole thing that they call life. Enough.
The time is now. The place is here. And the whole wide world is filled with shit.
We have reached number 1, November the 8th. We were talking about how the Seahawks mascot was disrespecting Russell Wilson by making fun of his high knees on the overseas flight, which led us down the road of what the Philly Fanatic, another sports mascot, might do to say Mike Schmidt, to tease him, poke fun at him, which led us down a road of saying things that we probably shouldn't say on the radio, leading Pete to hit the dump button, which then led to the oopsie heard round the world. It's number 1 on the 12 DAs.
Number 1.
He's a legend. He's a franchise icon. No.
Natural gas.
Don't do it. I know you had Scrapple yesterday. No. Perez said it offhandedly like that's what the Fanatic does.
Can't say that.
Oh, you broke Pete and the call back.
I just wet my pants.
He's still going. I can see he's left the room now. He's on his way to the bathroom. Oh, my God.
You're listening on the radio.
What'd you say, D.A.?
I said something that you can't say that Mraz said the Philly Fanatic was doing. And Mraz melted down laughing and then got off the ground after laughing, held his butt cheeks and said, I just went in my pants and waddled out of the studio.
Usually that happens when you're about to die.
Yeah, they're both vampires.
Yeah. It's like when there's a supercharge on your electrical outlet and then everything shuts down for a moment.
A brownout.
Yeah, it's just a complete brownout.
Oh, no, he's back.
I got a candidate for the 12 DAs, okay?
Same pants are on.
Okay.
He looks beaten, though.
Boy, it looks like Brian Daboll after the last loss.
He does. How you doing?
A lot of paper towels. I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even look at you guys in the eye right now.
I feel bad for anyone in that hallway.
Mraz is looking down like a dog that went on the kitchen.
I don't know what
Should we hold your face in it?
I don't know. I laughed too hard up and friction down, and luckily it wasn't, mega poundage. It was just a little wet.
Before you tell
honestly, I know you guys think I can live. I'm ashamed right now. I was kind of hoping I came back and you guys are midway through the update.
No.
The show's over?
I mean, I'll show Pete how wet the back of my cheeks are.
You can see it, Pete? It's visible?
Oh, no.
Oh, my.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It's like somebody dumped a milkshake down his pants.
Again.
I have to stand through this and taping side B of the PGP.
Whoa, we are not taping side B together.
Yes, we are.
We're not.
I have a towel in my car.
I have a towel, of course.
And before you tell us that happens to other people, this is not normal.
This one is no defense.
Okay.
I didn't even have Mucinex.
I didn't even have Mucinex. It's the number 1 on the 12 DAs of Christmas, the most memorable moment of the year. The oopsie heard round the world. The moment went viral. The video was everywhere. Multiple media outlets, including TMZ Sports, wrote about it. It was everywhere. In fact, if you just go to your computer today or on your phone and Google radio producer soils himself, there's like 17 matches that come up with Mraz from that day. For those wondering, and Bogues, I know you are, do you want to have the votes in front of you of who voted this number 1 and who did not?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Me, you, Pete had it at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning Mraz and Cap both had it at 1.
Right.
Now that gave it a total, like a golf score, of 8. The controversy has been whether John Sterling's Fat Journal rendition, #Shagogo.
Wait, before we go any further, can you, how is 5 votes get that to 8 points? How does that work?
You just count them.
Yeah. So Mraz is 1. He voted at 1. Cap is 1. He voted at 1. That's a total of 2. Me, you, and Pete voted at 2. That's a total of 6.
And so the lowest...
Like a golf score.
I still don't trust him, but okay.
Like a golf score. And it got a total of 8. Now, the controversy has been whether this was better than the Sterling Fat Journal. And the Sterling Fat Journal came in at number 2. For me, you, and Pete, we voted the Fat Journal number 1. Mraz had the Sterling Fat Journal at 2. So right now, it's a dead heat tie.
Yeah.
The difference is that Cap voted the Sterling Fat Journal for.
Of course he did.
And so even though the Sterling Fat Journal got more first-place votes...
Which, by the way, take that as a half win, Bilotti.
Even though the Sterling Fat Journal had more first-place votes, it came in second by 1 point because Cap dropped it all the way to 4. Had Cap had it at 3, it would have been a tie. The first ever.
And I assume the tiebreaker would have been most first-place votes, and therefore it would have won.
I would assume so. Now, we don't have that in the bylaws.
Right.
We should write that in, but most first-place votes would be the proper way to decide. Had Cap put it at 2 instead of 4, ultimately the Fat Journal will be the tops overall. So because he dropped it all the way to 4, it changed the course of history. And as Pete pointed out, the fans suffer.
Yeah. Again,
how do you like that?
It's the holiday season. It's the end of the year. Our fans are thanking us for what we do for them. We thank them for being with us every day. And Cap's thank you is a ridiculous vote at number 4. The worst vote, the smallest vote was number 3. It's that's the worst case scenario for the Sterling Fat Journal. Number 4, behind the SEMO, what was his random third one in there? Theismann. It's just unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And Pete's right. The fans got screwed.
I made a mistake.
Also, Pete's got screwed.
Boyle agrees, though, that the Oops You Heard Around the World is number 1. Me and you voted the Fat Journal number 1.
Yeah.
And the reason for my vote was simply that while shock value was high, and obviously we were laughing quite a bit at Mraz's oopsie yet again, it wasn't the first time this had happened. We had a previous oopsie during a podcast. And so that was the original oopsie quote on the air, even though it was during taping of a podcast. But then secondly, I thought that this was really, we were all laughing, but this was really just about Mraz's loose bowels. That was really the bit of it. The Fat Journal was so much more. It was the surprise that Bilotti trotted out John Sterling. It was John Sterling's performance. It was the perfect storm of John Sterling's performance, unknown, a surprise, and Mraz ate everything in Vegas that weekend. Having had gone, we didn't know this was going to happen, the week Sterling was going to read to Vegas for a bachelor party. It checked so many wild boxes that in terms of sheer entertainment value, to me, there was so much more to the Sterling Fat Journal than Mraz, who just kind of lost control of his balance.
Right. I think the single best actual moment, granular, tiny moment of the year is the first second that I heard John Sterling's voice begin reading the Fat Journal. That stunned to an ooze of John Sterling coming down from the rafters out of the press box to deliver that is the best singular moment of the year. And then he goes on and delivers a tour de force performance around the perfect weekend. The mispronunciations, the awkward pronunciations, the giggles at the health jokes along the way. Again, Pete's introduced the word reward to this conversation. And I'll own the fact that, it absolutely played into my voting that the oopsie began from a place that should never happen. It's like an adult male should not laugh up and friction down and soil himself in any setting.
But is that a fair punishment?
I don't know.
That it shouldn't happen?
It was number 2. It was number 2 on my list. I didn't make it 4 or 8 like Cap.
Well, that's the thing here, is that we are splitting hairs. Both you and I felt that the Oops You Heard Around the World was good enough to be number 2. We just felt that the Fat Journal was a little bit better at number 1. So, there's always going to be this debate because, again, it's a very fine line. But what is interesting about this year is the introduction of agendas. This has never happened before. That Pete had an agenda to punish the oopsie, to reward the Fat Journal. Kaplan had an agenda to, quote, teach a lesson.
Well, again, that's only...
Sources say
right, if Sean...
Pete.
Allegedly, that's what Cap did.
Well, Mraz was reporting. Detective Milkshake.
Again... with a grain of salt or a quart of a milkshake. You take that news.
Very below average.
Teach him a lesson.
I know.
And, Pete did politic for the oopsie to be qualified for next year simply out of own self-preservation.
And he let it slip on the air. We all heard it. He gave up. We heard it come out of his mouth. He was battling with other reasons, and it finally slipped out that it was about him and his moments.
And he also punished the Schwartz versus Shep battle.
Still unacceptable.
Because he didn't want those two guys to be, quote, rewarded with a high vote.
Right.
So this is the first year interpersonal politics became involved, and I don't know if I like that, as we're a very divided political country. I don't know if the 12 DAs needs to be the same thing.
If Sean's sources are incorrect and Cap just made a series of bad choices, wasn't out to get Pete, then only Pete voted with an agenda. We all have our own reasoning.
True.
Some of us didn't listen to things as well. So, a lot of things are at play here, but it's possible that only Pete is the one with multiple angles to his voting here.
Everybody's got their own agenda. It's like Game of Thrones. You guys are all Pete's angling for the throne on the 12 DAs of Christmas. Mraz obviously wants the throne as well. Cap is like Littlefinger. I feel like he is subtly trying to bring Pete down, and that's why he pushed it to number 4, because the Fat Journal should have been 1 or 2, at least in my opinion. There's no way. He had Theismann in front of that?
He had the Tiki Fat Journal and the Theismann name reveal before Sterling.
Shame on you, Cap.
Yes.
Shame on you for putting Theismann, having a moment of, I'm not going to say it, but just slipping up and saying the commander's name. That's cool. That's a good moment for the show. Nowhere near touches the Fat Journal or the Oopsie in comedic value.
I made a mistake.
Let's also, though, remember that Mraz may have unwittingly had some agenda here, too, by leaving off Pat Boyle's perfect Canadian bacon. This is a topic for next week on the show, but we addressed it on the PGP. Of course, the day that Pat Boyle delivered the mythical 5 oinker, Mraz was off. Mraz is entrusted with pulling the 12 DA moments. By virtue of him not being here, either he forgot when he came back, Pete forgot when he was here, whatever. The mythical 5 oinks never got into the vote. And so...
Okay, good.
Mraz...
I remember voting for that one.
Mraz may have had an agenda there as well, conveniently forgetting not to include it when he came back from his day off.
We'll see if I get a vote next year on the 12 DAs. See how I decide to use it.
Much like a football life, next week here on the show, we will dissect from all angles the mythical 5 oinks. As me and Carlos are here on Monday, and then me and Pat Boyle the rest of the week.
Now, I am new to this 5 oink controversy.
You are?
Well, this particular one, that it was not on the list, but the aftermath is, because I remember not voting for Sean being angry with his oink scores. So that's in there, the funny Sean moment, but not Boyle's perfection.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like ignoring Nadia Comaneci's perfect 10 when we go over Olympic history. Somehow, we're conveniently forgetting that something other than Kerry Strug got a perfect score.
Sorry, Billy.
So another person not getting rewarded. Boyle.
Sorry, Bill. Sorry for forgetting your number 10. Sorry for forgetting the perfect oink. Sorry, Billy.
Yeah, Simone notices things. Sean didn't notice that.
I notice it.
I didn't.
ABS headlines.
And they're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. On top of all the playoff implications, Jets-Jaguars on Thursday Night Football is a meeting of the top 2 picks from the 2021 draft. Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. Of course, things have gone better for Lawrence since then.
We kind of kept in touch and, root for him, obviously, we got a pretty good relationship. We're not super close necessarily, but, I have a lot of respect for him.
The Jets are currently 9th in the AFC, 1 game behind the Dolphins. The Jaguars 1 game behind the Jets, but more importantly, right on the heels of the Titans for first in the AFC South. And Ryan Tannehill might be done for the year with a right ankle injury. Rain and wind in the forecast for this game, which kicks off shortly after 8 Eastern. The first time the Bulls and Hawks met this season, Atlanta won at the buzzer. Last night, Chicago returned the favor.
Into DeRozan. DeRozan for the win! Overshot it. Dosumu. Game time. Game time. Yes. Game time. Game time. How does it feel, Atlanta? How does it feel?
Stacey King, Adam Amin on NBC Sports Chicago.
How's it feel?
Ayo Dosunmu with the buzzer-beating putback for the 110-108 win. Pascal Siakam with a career-high 52 as the Raptors snapped the Knicks' 8-game run, 113-106 at the Garden. The net win streak got to 7 with a 143-113 rout of the Warriors, and the Sixers on a 6-game run, 113-93 winners over the Pistons. The Lakers fell in Sacramento, 134-120. The Thunder swept a 2-game visit from the Blazers, 101-98. The Pacers 117-112 winners in Boston. The Cavs 114, the Bucks 106, thanks to 36 from Donovan Mitchell. And the Magic got a 116-110 win in Houston. Orlando has won 7 of 8. Men's number 1, Purdue, took care of New Orleans last night, 74-53. Women's number 1, South Carolina, a fairly easy 102-39 win over Coastal Carolina.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and Iowa's Caitlin Clark passed 2,000 career points in yesterday's 92-54 win over Dartmouth. She got there in just 75 career games, matching Elena Deladon for the fewest this century, which is as far back as the NCAA can confirm. QB Shedeur Sanders finally officially transferred to Colorado to play for his dad yesterday.
Shocker.
And USC wideout Jordan Addison will skip the Alamo Bowl because of a lingering ankle issue. This likely ends his college career since Addison is expected to declare for the draft. The New Orleans Bowl was last night. Someone should have told South Alabama they let the country down, losing to Western Kentucky 44-23. And we got overtime last night in Colorado. The Avalanche overwhelmed the Canadiens 2-1 on a goal from...
Me cold, me hot, Mikko Rantanen from the slot.
0 oinks. DA, back to you.
By the way, the DA show is a good place to learn stuff as well, including from your updates. You did the Lamar stat yesterday, that Lamar was the previous record of home wins in a row, Lamar basketball.
Not the record holder, the previous the longest since Lamar,
I see.
180, yes.
And I was like, wow, Lamar, we were kind of talking about that. So I went to look it up. Lamar in the late 70s, early 80s was a regular in the NCAA tournament. They were a Division I program, and they won a couple of games. They were in the Sweet 16 one year. They won a game 2 different years. And it was broken in 84, their 80-game home win streak, when Louisiana Tech came to town and Karl Malone on Louisiana Tech dominated and beat Lamar in the Southland Conference tournament, I believe. So
wow,
that's when that happened.
Imagine losing your streak, and you're like, this is freaking Karl Malone guy from Louisiana Tech, and then he goes on to be Karl Malone.
Yeah, he ends up being one of the greatest NBA players ever. When we come back on the show, advanced analytics and an epic fail. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Like future in terms of having kids is like somebody takes my seed and then just like to raise the kid, and I'm like, that's my kid. Don't raise it, but claim it as your own.
Did you just say your goal is to be a delinquent dad?
It's mostly just to pass down the bloodline.
So you actually does this involve actual relations with said woman, or are you going to make a donation to a bank and just let somebody take it?
I kind of want like a Genghis Khan thing. Like I just pass down my seed and then have them grow under my name.
But have no actual day-to-day interaction with them.
I mean, yes and no.
Like, you want to text them occasionally or see them like every other weekend? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, I don't know. And not even, okay, so not even in terms of, because when you do raise a kid, you obviously want to experience all that.
Yeah.
And like eventually I do, I guess, want to do that. But I also on the side, like wouldn't mind like the whole sperm bank thing. Like I wouldn't mind dropping off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind dropping off, a bunch of them and just like, okay, you can use that to when people use that for fertilization.
But you want to know, though, that it's been used. And,
I want to know it's mine.
And those kids are Boyles,
yes.
even if their last name is not Boyle. You
Yep.
want to know that they're Boyles.
Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Analytics is just a term that's kind of thrown around a lot.
It's time now for the Mothership's Advanced Analytics.
Going into tonight's game, would you rather have over the next 5 years Trevor Lawrence or the Jets defense? 69% of you say Trevor Lawrence. The data department tells us that the Jets advanced to the playoffs for the first time in 1968, where, in that season, of course, they won Super Bowl III. The Jaguars have not made the playoffs since 2017, where they lost the AFC title game to the Patriots. But remember that in the 99 season, the Jaguars annihilated the Dolphins in Marino's last game, 62-7, the biggest blowout in playoff history. Yikes. And Zach Wilson, remember, hooked up with his mom's best friend. The term MILF is synonymous with the 1999 movie American Pie, although linguist Laurel Sutton says the term was one of 9 terms used to describe attractive women by the undergrads at Cal. Motor Booty magazine also is credited with using that term prior to American Pie.
Good magazine.
So pick up your most recent copy, newsstands everywhere, of Motor Booty. Let's get to your epic fail reaction to the number one of the 12 DAs of Christmas.
Even the DA show is not perfect. We know. Shocking. Here's the epic fail.
I don't think anything could top this.
Really? So Tom Boyle is voting for this as number one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the shock factor alone gets it up there. Then the fact that it went viral, picked up by TM's, hundreds of news sources, and Mraz poops himself on air. You can't beat that.
I mean,
that should be enough.
You can't beat it, but on the other hand, it shouldn't happen.
Nope, that did not happen. So let's go back and take a look at that.
It comes down to this for me. Poop's funny. Poop will always be funny.
No, you smell butts.
It's a devastating combination. It's like Jordan and Pippen.
Yeah. So mark that down, Pete.
Going up the butt. I'm sorry, up the gut.
Mraz is not only the league MVP, but also the NBA Finals MVP. He collected them all.
Yeah. MVP and Cy Young.
The MVP of the toilet bowl.
Oh, he's the MVP. You know what the P stands for? And he's the Cy Dung Award winner as well.
That's horrible.
Sponsored by Sean.
Cy Dung.
I had pig anus and cow Angus.
On Friday, in my mailbox, I did receive a beautiful box with 6 fresh new pairs of underwear. However, there was no note attached. So whoever sent it, whatever listener, thank you so much. I am wearing a new pair today. They are beautiful. I am very loose.
Will they see February 1st?
Like
they might be tattered they're going to be tattered like a pirate flag, but they'll see it.
It's like Groundhog Day. Will the underwear see its stains?
And down the stretch they come.
We end up putting a top hat on Mraz's underwear and pull it out of a hole or the drawer to see its shadow on February 2nd.
6 more weeks of clean laundry.
Poops a Tawny Phil.
You know what? Boyle's right. Poop's funny. There's a pun for all of it.
Thank you, Bugs.
I like to eat it raw sometimes or on a piece of plain toast. It's so succulent and delicious. Mark Manning, unranked Baylor, hosts TCU and Waco. You heard me wrong? Jody, you can call me whatever you would like.
That's it. Mraz, congratulations. This was for the fans.
Thank you. You know, whenever I soil myself, it's always for the fans.
Epic fail, you loser.
That is why you fail.
Epic fail. Oh, baby. What a show it was. So we had such a powerful moment earlier in the show when Dave in North Carolina, who's known as Cigar Smoking Dude on Twitter, was kind of brought to tears and just wanted to thank us for being there for him over the last month because he lost his fiance to a drunk driver around Thanksgiving. So we had a lot of D-aliens reach out over Twitter and want to just show their support, and I knew that they would rally because you guys are awesome. But Skipper Tim had a poignant message. He said, I wanted to toast Dave for telling us about that loss and let us not forget those who we have all lost during this year. It's especially hard during the holidays. So, Dave, I'll be thinking about you and your fiance. And as DA said, we're here for you, brother. And that's a good message to go out on this morning. I am out tomorrow, but I'm back all of next week. So this will be the last time that I speak to you guys before Christmas. And for those of you that celebrate, very Merry Christmas. You guys help make this a dream job, and we have a lot of fun around here, and I never take it for granted. And I know a lot of you guys care quite a bit about the show and about us, and that means the world to me. So I hope it goes back out to you guys, reciprocated. Have a very happy holiday and a Merry Christmas, and I will see you on Monday morning. That'll do it for us this morning on the show. Thanks to Pat Boyle, executive producer, Carlos Ortiz with a K, your man of the Wheels of Steel, Andrew Kaplan, the Wizard of Watch DA, and Andrew Bogusch on your headlines. Be good, and be good to one another. The Mothership disconnects.